Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV for another match review. Chelsea 0, Brentford 2. Lots to get into, lots to discuss, lots to cover, analyse, talk about. Another pathetic, poor performance from the boys in the blue. Especially on the back of a good performance against Arsenal. We've then gone and performed like that against the Brentford team, who have now beaten us, I believe, 3 times in a row at the Bridge, which is absolutely disgusting. Not good enough from us. Shows the mentality. We're going to get into everything in regards to this football club and their performance yesterday. We will do some player ratings later on today. We will have also the panel joining us as well to just go through the bits and bobs. Lots to get into, lots to discuss. Smash them likes if you can as well. And let's cue. I don't know. 2 seconds, guys. I don't know what's going on there. Let's cue that intro. Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV for another review show to discuss. And not a pretty one as well. I can't see you guys over on GNA TV, which is annoying. I don't know what's happened here. See RD's coming. Lots to discuss, guys. Lots to get into. Lots to analyse as well. Not a great performance from us again. But before we get into it, let's talk to people in the chat. RD, how are you? He said the second goal was one of the most shameful ways to concede. Embarrassing. It was pathetic. Obviously, we were overrun at that point and was trying to obviously, salvage a draw in a game that we should have won and made it very hard for ourselves. But we're going to talk about in seconds. Where is our insurance on the bench? Not good enough, the bench. The bench is so poor. It's just not a good bench at all. Big up Farron. I can see there's a lot of Chelsea fans here already, probably very disappointed. Yes, Shao, how you doing, Farron? Dexter, how you doing, Rosemary? Always Chelsea forever. Yeah, we always will be. Talk about Palmer's performance. We will do, because there was some semi-decent performances in yesterday's game that are worth talking about. We should be getting into. Varna, how are you? Nice to see you guys. If you can, everyone tap the screen, share it out, please. I'd massively appreciate it. Get the likes up as well. We've got a lot to get into in the next hour and a bit anyway, in regards to this football club and the mess that we found it in. And I think Lewis really summed it up quite well yesterday when he was asked about Chelsea Football Club and our home ground. Our home form is atrocious. On the back of not winning any games in the last 12 at home, we go and then lose to Brentford. We go lose to Brentford in the style or manner that we've seen continuously for the last, God knows, 3-4 years now. This is not something that's new to this football club. This is something that's grown and become an issue in this football club. And it's something that we're not dealing with as a football club. The players are not dealing with. The managers are struggling to achieve. The recruitment also not doing good enough as well. And these are all things that are unfortunately costing us as a club at the moment. Adnan, how are you doing, mate? Good to see you. I want to, before we start talking about the game and get into things and me just moan about how pathetic we are, I want to go through some of the comments that Pies come out with after the game. His first comments, he said, is embarrassed at the home Forest, embarrassed at the home to Brentford, couldn't score a goal against Bournemouth, embarrassed against West Ham, embarrassed against Aston Villa. We lose no identity as a serious club, thanks to the choices of those above. Listen, it's very easy for us to blame the guys above when things ain't working, but there is a lot going on inside the club with the squad, the management. It's a bit of everything for me. It really is a bit of everything. And yes, we can point the fingers at the owners and say, well, you should have bought someone more clinical. We've spent nearly £1 billion. Why have you not bought in a striker, for example? That's a big thing, and a big cross against them, because they didn't deal with that, in my opinion. They brought in Christopher Nkunku, who we haven't seen yet, who's picked up an injury, and then we've relied on Jackson to get us through. And I did say it was a big if, allowing someone like Nicholas Jackson, who's not played in the Premier League, to try and lead us through the rest of this season, up to January anyway. It is a problem. It is a problem. The fact that we are clueless to the whole understanding or breaking down of a team like Brentford at home, who are not even performing to, they're not even, they've got no Tony. They're not a bad team. They're not a great team. They remind me of playing Burnley or Stoke at home. That's what they remind me of. They're just hard, annoying. Annoyance is more than anything to how they play. And yeah, it's a problem. And what he's saying is true. The fact that we can't seem to break down these teams. And I will go on a bit more about the game soon, but he talks about them. I'm not going to I'd put any money on Oshman and Tony not fixing this. It's a much bigger issue, unfortunately. Culturally, we aren't the same club and it's not the same pressure and standards to win. We're a development club now. Fans need to start. See, this is where I get a little bit unsure with it. I disagree that we're a development club. It looks like it by the amount of youth that we've brought along. However, I think there's a different image to want to win in the future. The winning should always be the now, don't get me wrong. But when you look at where we transitioned from, where we got ourselves to at the end of the Roman era, to where it was pretty much falling apart, let's be serious, to then the takeover. This is like I said, a complete new identity, one that we're not seeing clear progression in at the moment. And that was the key thing to when Todd Bowley and Egbali came into this football club. It was about, are we going to see a clear image? Are we going to see the pattern, the project, the idea where we want to go with? Now, listen, we have made many decisions with managers. Yeah, and that will deter and affect what we're trying to do as a football club moving forward because of the amount of changes you're making to the systems, the ideas and stuff like that. And I get that. But, Poch will get the time. I think he should. And I think they will. But he does need to find answers to some of the issues or some of the big issues that we have at this football club. And one of the biggest issues we have at this football club, as we already know, is low blocks. We just struggle, and it's not even like we struggle to create because we don't struggle to create. We create. If anyone tells you we don't create, we create. We just don't take our chances. And that is the real biggest issue with this football club at the moment. We don't take our chances. And I want to keep flying through this because I want to go back to the game in a second because I really want to break it down. Why are we looking at centre-backs? If that's true, what are we doing? Oh, we conceded 2 goals against Brentford yesterday. Let me just think. Yeah, we need a centre-back. Really? Can't you see that the attack lacked clinical edge? I don't get this fascination with us always trying to look for centre-backs. It makes absolutely no sense to me if that is true. I'm not even going to look at the Roman thing. Where are those Chelsea accounts? And this is one that I was a little bit confused about. Where are those Chelsea accounts that were scapegoating Enzo? Did that better without him today, did we? So there's actual accounts on Twitter already scapegoating who was our best player last year in January. One of our biggest players. And now we're scapegoating him now. I didn't know that. Is that a thing now? Is it now that Enzo's a problem now because he's not scoring a goal or he's not creating maybe as much? I don't really get it. I don't really get it. And did we miss him yesterday? We did. People will go, yeah, but what would he have done? Don't want to see Conor Gallagher and Caicedo in a pivot. I don't mind Conor Gallagher in a free, but I don't like him in a pivot. In a pivot, there's a lot of requirements as an individual to be able to not only be able to deal with high presses, but also have the technical ability to be able to move the ball quickly, play passes in behind when we need to. And I'm not saying Conor Gallagher hasn't improved his performances or he's become a better player. I think he has. But there's only still so much that I think he can do as an individual. And I just don't think that him as a player playing in a pivot, even though we had no choice yesterday because Enzo wasn't there, all right, Lavia's still coming back. I still don't think Conor Gallagher in the midfield is right. It just doesn't, on a consistent basis, work for me. And it's not Conor Gallagher's fault that we lost yesterday, by the way. I'm not sitting here dissing Conor Gallagher because I'm saying it's fault. It's not. But to have a pivot of Enzo and Caicedo, which we've seen them grow a very good chemistry together with, and chemistry is important in the squad, especially our squad. Chemistry, balance, system. Potts didn't help yesterday, by the way, and we're going to get into him as well. He's not getting away with it. I'm getting into him hard, right? These are all things that we struggle with. And this is the issue. As soon as we lose a player, as soon as we have to rely on someone else to come in that position, especially in the midfield area. And I'm talking about what we saw yesterday. The levels, the unbalance, the understanding, the requirements that they've done for the last 3 games where they've been successful, where we've played 3 midfielders, it becomes an issue. Should he have played Leslie, Caicedo and Gallagher and put it forward? Maybe. People wouldn't have liked it because we wouldn't have then seen the 4-2-3-1 with the more attackers. And I'm one that's always wanted to see that. However, when you have performances like Madueke, like he did yesterday on the pitch, then there's no point of him being on the pitch. I'd rather have had Conor Gallagher further there, hunting the ball down, winning it high, and push Palmer more to the right and giving him that central option than have had Madueke on the pitch. So, these are the things for me. And we did miss Enzo Fernandez yesterday. People can sit there and scapegoat what they want, but he is very important to what we have. And him and Caicedo in midfield is our midfield. It should always be them two. We've got Tottenham next. I expect him to be back. And that's just what pissed me off even more. We've got Tottenham next, and we can't even beat Brentford, a game that we should have won, which would have put us 8th, and then we could have took on Spurs. And even if we'd won or drawn, it would have took us right back into the mix of things with everyone that's above us. But no, what does Chelsea do? What they do every 3-4 years? Oh, we'll just lose to a Brentford team that actually just sit back, because every team sits back at Stamford Bridge or Stamford Brothel is what Lewis calls it. And there's your answer. That's what we had yesterday. Clueless. We're going to get into the game in a second. Joe Cole says that there's an issue with the structure still and what we're trying to do. And then there's this comment here that Pius says, and it's from Pochettino. And this is his comments. We played well against Liverpool and Arsenal, and the team did really well. When you see this type of game like today or Nottingham Forest, we dominate, but we don't score goals when they're low. When the block is so deep. There are many bodies inside the box, and we struggle to score. But in different games when we played Arsenal and Liverpool, the teams did really well. And then this what really annoyed me. That's why we are not worried. What the fuck does that mean? This is why we are not worried. You just kind of explained where you do well and where we're not doing well. But then you say you're not actually that worried about these teams losing to these teams, even though we play these smaller teams more than we do the bigger teams. So what common sense is that, Poch? What common sense is that, mate? How can you not be worried about our performances when we're performing like that yesterday? And we had a good first half, by the way. It wasn't a bad 90 minutes. We played well at the beginning, to a degree, yeah? But then after that, we were clueless, and we lost ourselves, and we didn't know what to do, and people weren't playing to the levels that we needed to, and we will pick up players today, because it's not just how Poch lined us up, even though it's part of it. It's also the players on the pitch that need to take accountable for themselves as well. Again. But don't worry, it's not a good sign or a message you send to fans that for 3 to 4 years have watched their team at the Bridge struggle to get any results against low block teams. These are the ones where we need to be gaining points. This is Chelsea Football Club. We can't be making excuses all the time. Yeah. These are the games we should be fucking winning. Don't come out with bullshit like that after the fact that we just lost 2-0 and our goalie on the last goal was running back from fucking the corner flag of the other end all the way to the blimmin' goal to try and stop him scoring because no one else was running with him. That's a mess. Capitulation, whatever you call it. It's not good enough. I am fed up of watching this football club play at home and struggle to put the ball in the back of the net. I am fed up of it. And it's the easy instruction for the opposition who's got less quality, that has less something about them. Because all they've got to do is just put 12 or 11 men in the box and make it hard for ourselves. This is Chelsea Football Club, man. We can't just be going, we can't worry about it. It is what it is, We played well against Arsenal, Liverpool. We showed that the performances of our levels are very good. Yeah. Well, what about fucking Brentford? It's not good enough. It feels like we take 2 steps forward. It feels like we're going in the right direction. We always fans start going, oh, yeah, this looks quite okay. We're doing all right at the moment. And then we take 10 steps back. And then we wake up. And then we wake up and realise that we're fucking still back there. Every time it feels like we're going forward. You can't be losing to Brentford at home 3 times in a row, man. It is what Lewis said. It's not Stamford Bridge. Stamford Brothel right now. It's Stamford fucking Brothel. It is. Where's that strong unity between the club, the fans, the players? You know, when oppositions used to come to our fucking ground and hate it because they knew they were in for a ride. And even when we did lose games back then, it used to always be like 1-0 here or there. We were unlucky, but we played well, created, we'd done what we need to do. But then we'd go again and we'd win and we'd win and win and win. Yet we still used to lose the odd game at home. We don't used to lose to Brentford 3 times in a fucking row like we are now. Or capitulate like we do. It's not a good answer for me, Poch, mate. It's not good enough. This is not Chelsea, mate. This is not good enough. They need to wake up. Something's got a trigger in their brains. We can't keep struggling against low blocks. And yeah, if Christopher Nkunku was in the game yesterday, guess what? We probably would have scored 1 or 2 goals because he is a killer. And I am fully confident in Christopher Nkunku, even though he hasn't kicked ball bar in pre-season. But from what I've seen and know of him, he will score goals. And him along with Sterling is a good thing for us moving forward. Yes. But what happens when we don't have them? Like now, we're just going to keep losing? We have to find progression in what we're doing as a club. Bowley, Egbally, Chelsea, Poch, players. We have to, as fans, see progression. We need to see us go like this. But we're not. We go, yeah. Blump. Yeah. Blump. And then we just keep dropping further and fucking further. And I'm fed up. I didn't even want to do a show today. I'm bored of saying the same thing when it comes to us playing at home against low blocks. Because when I tactically analyse it, you might as well rewind to last fucking season. Yeah, but we lost at home to a low block team. Or even Aston Villa this year. Right? And just play it. And listen to me say the same shit as I said there. It's the same shit. Why are we not addressing it? Why are we not addressing it as a club? And then Poch comes out after the game, instead of, highlights that we're not very good against low blocks or we struggle to score, which he's right. At least he sees it. And then goes, there are many bodies inside the box and we struggle. Yeah, true. Right. Find a solution, mate. But in the different games, when we played Arsenal and Liverpool, the team did really well. That's why we're not worried. The fuck is that? Has he watched Chelsea the last 2-3 seasons? Surely he has. Surely he has. I am dying inside watching this. It hurts. It's hurting me. And I'm sure it's hurting you at home as Chelsea fans. This hurts watching what we're watching right now. It's not enjoyable. I don't like the fact that we go forward and we take a step backwards, man. I need to see progression. Arsene Wenger's sitting there saying that we've won paced without any ideas. They look lost. Welcome, Arsene Wenger, to the last 3 years at home. Scuffed, wayward shots, lack of aerial threat and box presence, inconsistent run, making Nicholas Jackson a raw and inefficient goal source. Chelsea must sign someone lethal in January. Yeah, we do need someone lethal. But guess what? We needed that for the last 3 fucking years. And guess what? Every time we go into the transfer market, We're very limited. You know, would they have gone for Ivan Toney? And would he have been the solution? I think we would be a lot better in the low blocks because at least he's a target man and he'd hold the ball up and he'd lay off. We'd create more. Would he be the answer to our goal scoring thing? He doesn't score tons of goals. He scores goals. But yeah, maybe in a better team, you'll see him score even more goals in his prime age. Played in the league. Osbihan, yeah, he scores goals. Would he have took the chances yesterday that we had and score them? Yeah, he would have. And we're going to talk about Jackson later because I do want to talk about players individually. We're going to get into that in a second. But equally, that was, you know, and that's that, basically. You know, and then I just saw this come up. I didn't even know this was a thing. I didn't even know this was the thing. Hassan, come back in about 20 minutes, mate, yeah? I'm just doing the same. Come back in about 20 minutes. A fan just had a go at Jackson at half. A fan had a go at Jackson as the half ended, saying, "Why don't you score a goal?" And Jackson responded by shushing as if to say, "Be quiet." Pochettino went to defend the player. Listen, fans have every right to question the players on the pitch. The fact that Jackson has got the balls to go and shush the fan, yeah, after his own performances on the pitch is quite fucking rude, in my opinion. I don't think he is, quite frankly, to be shushing people when he's performing like the way he's performing. And you can't even say that he's not being created for, or, you know, no. To be quite honest with you, he's been blimmin' useless. And it's annoying me how useless he's been. And do you know what? He started really well. I thought this boy's got something about him. He's got all the abilities to do the right things or whatever. We haven't played bad the last 3 games. And he's been around. What did he do? He missed 1 or 2 games. One of them he was on the bench. One of them he scored. But he needs to step up. He should be looking at the bench going, right, there's no one here. I'm the man. I'm the man. Yeah, I'm young, but I'm going to do everything I can to make Murrans run behind, make chances myself. He don't. He just looks lost out there. He does look his age. I'll be quite honest with you. Looks like a player that still needs managing, still needs development, still needs guidance. You know, some of it was basic. I can't even say it's even that. Some of it was just basic stuff as a striker. When you grow up, you know, your movements, how to run away from the ball. I'm getting into Jackson already and I wasn't going to do it. But we're going to get into him. You know, yeah. And you're going to come out and say something about the fans? He was on the bench. He was on the bench. He was ready to play. You know, and we will talk about Poch because this is where we're going with it next. I am going to talk about Poch because this is what we're going to do. He brings out this lineup and he decides to not go over right back. And he goes and he tries to be a little bit clever about the situation and go, well, they've got a bit of height. They're going to do Burnley/Stoke style throw-ins, which is going to be in the box. We're going to need people that are tall in there. Let's sacrifice Gusto, who's been probably our best signing so far. All right, Reece James has been injured and played Disassi and Kukurea off the left. All right, Kukurea was good last game, so can't knock him. He played him in his natural position. I then was like, why? What are you doing? Why are we going down that route now? Why are we unbalancing what we've done so well in the last 3-4 games? And I thought to myself, don't like it, but I'm going to sit back. I'm going to watch how we play. Now, in the first half, was it Disassi's fault that we weren't winning? No, this was on the attack. However, the one thing I would say about it, and I'm a big fan for chemistry and structure, is when you watched us in the first half, where we went wrong yesterday was the fact that we, went well in the last games, and where we went wrong yesterday is the fact that we had two fullbacks in Kukurea and Gusto who were up and down the pitch that gave us balance, that gave us width, that allowed the forwards that were playing on the sides to be more effective because they weren't being occupied on their own. They had to, the opposition had to deal with the wing backs of the fullbacks. Yesterday, we were so one-sided, playing balls all the way down the left. If you notice, everything was going down the left. Kukurea was bombing forward, doing everything that he'd done in the last 3 games. In the last 3 or 4 games, Kukurea was doing what he normally does, but it was obvious. We was playing against a team that was sitting back with 11 men behind the ball, but playing down one side of the pitch. Madueke was shit yesterday. Yes, he was. Yeah. But we did have no overlaps. We had no runs from the right. And that's what Gusto gives us. Energy, pace, up and down the ends, right? Disasi didn't want to entertain it. He just sat back and played in a free, and we had nothing going down the right. In fact, it was very hard to go down the right. The only way we could get through was Sterling and Kukurea. That is on Poch. He took a risk. He lost the balance in the squad. He forgot about the right-hand side, isolated Madueke, who still, I didn't think, played that well anyway. Yeah, and decided to just operate down the left. Did we create enough in the first half? Yes. Is there positives in yesterday's game, barring and anything? Yeah, one, Cole Palmer. He was awesome. Left, right, picking balls left. Some of the passes in behind, the vision, to be able to play balls in between the lines, knock little chips over the defence and through to Kukurea. The guy was robbed from at least 2 assists in the first half. You put a Christopher Nkunku on the end of the chances that Palmer's playing over the top. I think it's a different story. I think you see goals. He will get his assists. We get our goals and we move on. And we just needed that first fucking goal yesterday. We just needed that one goal to go in. Because once that one goal goes in, they can't sit back anymore. Their game plan goes out their window. It's the same fucking usual thing. Get the goal early or score in the first half, make it open, and then hit them in the second half on the counters when they're forward. Because we saw it in the first half. Every time they broke forward and every time they tried to create and we won the ball quickly and we broke, they couldn't get back in time. They were a mess. They was a mess. Get the first goal quickly, Chelsea. That should have been the message. But guess what? We didn't. And Cole Palmer kept creating. We had fucking Lukaku up front, it felt like, with his movement. Yeah, just blocking shots every time it was coming in or not making the runs. And Kukurea's running behind him, fucking making the runs. Kukurea's runs were of a striker yesterday. And we had a striker on the pitch. Work that one out. We had a striker on the pitch, but the runs made of Kukurea were like of a striker. And yeah, he hasn't got the finishing product. He's not that player. And then we get to half time and you're sitting here, you're like, how are we not 2-0 up or 3-0 up or whatever? We've created, we've done this, we've done that. And we're sitting there and we're like, right, what was he going to do? Right, we need a sub. Right, we don't need the Sassy anymore. We can clearly see that. We don't need that. We need more down the right. Because Madueke was, not only was he crap, but there was no overruns. There was no real creativity down that right. We would flood in the left. We was just flooding the left because Poch decided to unbalance us in the first place. And then we were forced to play a pivot of Gallagher and Caicedo, which wasn't the overall problem, but I don't like it. Still don't like it. Not a pivot player for me, Gallagher. And chemistry is important for us because in the last 3-4 games where we have played well, it's the chemistry, it's the understanding, it's the roles, it's what's working. But Poch decided to unbalance the team yesterday. And that's why I was a little bit reserved when I saw the lineup. And I thought, what are you doing? Why are you making things hard? Yes, Kazim. Yes, Matty. Hope you're well. Why are you making things hard? What are we doing here? Why are we going backwards? And what we're trying to do? We weren't clinical enough yesterday. We didn't score. We're heavily reliant on Raheem Sterling, in my opinion, still. In front of goal. Because if he don't, or Palmer on the odd occasion, then who fucking scores, man? Who scores? And we've got strikers on the pitch that just have Lukaku movement, like Jackson yesterday. So he goes into the second half, don't make a substitution, and then the first goal comes, right? We get done down the left, and the ball, a long looping ball, goes over the top. And guess what? The whole point of playing Disassi at the back was to eliminate this aerial threat, right? And guess what? They go and hit it in at the back post. You know, and I agree with Jason as well. Jason's right. You know, I want to see Madueke play because I like Madueke, but he was not good yesterday. And if you're going to play that and not play Gusto, then it's an issue for me. And maybe, yeah, Leslie and Caicedo in the pivot would have been perfect. It'd have been stronger. You could have let Gallagher roam further forward and he'd have been natural because he could have pressed high, could have won the balls back quicker, and he could have done everything that he's done very well in the last couple of games. But playing Gallagher in the pivot's not the answer. I'm sorry. I don't care what any Chelsea fan tells me. I do not want to see Gallagher in a pivot. There's just too much in terms of requirement, physicality, understanding, movement of ball, technical side, being able to play the balls quickly. You know, he was out of position a lot of times anyway because he started naturally falling into moving forward because that's where he's been playing, and it left Caicedo in the middle. If you look, Caicedo is very isolated a lot of the times in the middle. So, you know, they scored the first goal, and guess what? The whole idea of playing Disassi goes out the window. And then he wakes up and decides to make some substitutions, right? And then he quite frankly, he just goes and throws the kitchen sink at it at the end of it. Because you know what? At that point, they scored that goal and they just went, we'll just sit back even more. You can't break us. And guess what? We were clueless. We brought Reece James on, took Disassi off after that. Yeah. We who else did we put on? We put Leslie on at that point. I can't even think who else we put on the pitch. Maatson came on, had a poor game, but was just thrown into it unexpected, in my opinion, and just didn't really pick up to the game. We missed Mudryk. We missed Enzo. We missed them players. Of course we did. Yeah, but we still should have won with that quality. We still can't be sitting here moaning about no Enzo, no Mudryk. If they were there, we'd win. We still should have won. We created enough. And then we capitulated because we ran out of ideas. And then guess what? We go up for a corner, completely lose the ball. I don't know where everyone was at that point, you know, and why the fact Sanchez is sprinting back on his own. And then we go 2-0 behind. It's game over, done and dusted. See you later. And guess what? From Poch's tactical management of the game yesterday, which was shit. Let's be serious. Yeah. To the players, certain players' individual performances on the pitch, which was shit. To the lack of clinical edge in front of goal. It all in the ball like that. Have it. Stanford brothel, as Lewis said. Brentford 3 wins in a row at fucking Stanford brothel. And then guess what? We find ourselves going like that, 2 step forwards, 10 step backwards again because we can't deal with low blocks at home. And it's the same story. We try and we create. People tell you we don't create. It's waffle. We create. But just guess what? We don't score enough. And then we run out of ideas because we don't know what to do because we've made so many chances that we end up just giving up, it feels like, mentality. And then we just capitulate because then they get a bit, oh, yeah, we've got a chance here. Still 0-0, 60 minutes. Let's continue doing what we're doing. Throw the ball in the box. Bang, goal. Cross the ball. Bang, goal. Lack of concentration. Done. And then it's all out the window from that point. And I knew we were going to lose. I knew we weren't coming back in the game. I knew as soon as that goal went in, mark my words, I said, done. Because I knew that it was going only in one way. Yeah, they made it hard. Yeah, it was like playing Stoke away or Burnley. It was like that. But we didn't have the answers. We didn't have a clue what we were doing. And it was pathetic. And they should be ashamed of themselves, the players on the pitch, in my opinion. You know, because I am fed up every year. And we're going to talk about these players now. We're going to go into ratings. I want to be very quick with the ratings. We've got the panel coming in about 10 minutes. I'll drop the link. We'll get people in, 10 minutes or so. I'll fly through this. And then we'll talk about the overall game with everyone rather than go through the ratings because it will just take forever. I mean, to be quite frankly with you, even when it was 0-0, he made a very good save. Kept us in the game. You know, as bad as he was against Arsenal, he had moments where he even kept us in the game when we weren't scoring. Can I blame him for the first goal? Hell no. What's he meant to do with that? Can I blame him for the second goal? No, because the instructions from the manager was go in the fucking box. And then the poor guy sprinting back, trying to fucking stop him scoring on his own. And he's quite quick, by the way. He's not actually slow. He caught right up with him, didn't he? I saw speed from Sanchez. Maybe we could turn him into a striker. He's tall enough. He's good with the ball at his feet. Maybe we could put Sanchez up front. I've never seen so much speed from a blimmin' goalie to sprint back. Yeah, we've got an awful fixtures list, Ray. We've got an awful fixtures list coming up. You know, and we do lack a bit of experience as well. What do I rate him? What can you rate anything with the goals? I can't even blame him. 4? 5? You know, like, I don't really want to talk about the goal too much, to be quite honest with you, in this one. And then we move on to the defence. Let's start with the Sassy. And I don't really want to lay into him too much because he was the one asked to play out of position. All season he's played centre-back. But guess what? Poch decides to play him right back. Especially when the system itself and where it's been so successful is when we've had fullbacks running forward and running back, running forward, running back like we saw Cucurella doing in the first half. He decides to play Disassi, who's not going to do any of that. And guess what? The balance goes. And that's our biggest issue. Chemistry, structure, and balance goes. Whoop! We become very reliant on one side. And to be quite honest, he didn't really do much. Did he really? You know, he got caught out of position a couple of times. Played the ball to Madueke and just sat there. And then was asleep for the goal. Ball watching like this. Oh, shit. Oh, goal. Not even aware of the guy running in behind him, which is why he's at the back post. 2. But I still don't blame him too much because he's out of position. And I don't blame players too much when they're played out of position. Shouldn't be playing as a right back in the fucking first place. That's on the manager. That's on the manager. Who's next? Silva. What do you want me to say about him? I can't even knock him too much. Fucking how many... He headers the ball in the box into a perfect area for Lukaku up front to tap it in. And where is he? You know, like his movement was awful. I can't even have a go at Silva. What do I say? He's not like... What do I say? 4, 5, 3, whatever you want to give him. I don't have much to say about Silva. I don't think Silva's the issue. Colwill the same. You know, we're going to talk about Colwill now, but what is it to say about Colwill? Solid, fine. I like him and Silva at the back, to be quite honest with you. Not the issue. Again, you know, I'm trying to think of the goals. No. Don't really know what to say. Thought Cucurella had a very good first half. I thought he looks a lot better than what we've seen of him last season. He actually looks very comfortable. Looks like a different player. I actually like the Cucurella that I'm watching. Up and down the pitch, supporting, energetic. You know, should have scored. But can we criticise him again for making runs that our striker should be making in the box? Smash the likes, please. If you can. I know we haven't got enough likes, but please smash the likes. No. Again, 4. And then what? After that, we go into the midfield. Who are we talking about now? Caicedo. Some people said he had not a good game. I thought he was fine. Thought he was very neat. Got stuck in, done what he could. You know. Was Caicedo to a degree. Moves the ball well. Looks better with Enzo next to him because they've got that chemistry, in my opinion. Ain't much to say about Caicedo. Caicedo is important for this football club. End of. We need him. 5 because we lost. 4, whatever you want to give him. But he wasn't overly bad. Conor Gallagher. You know, you heard what I said about Conor Gallagher. I don't really... Again, do I blame him much? No, because I don't think he's a pivot player. I don't like him in the pivot. He needs to be roaming forward. He needs to be shutting down. He needs to be doing what he does off the ball very well, high up the pitch, winning the press, unsettling them, winning it high so that they're out of position and they can't all get back. And then we move the ball that way. That's what I need Conor Gallagher to do. That's Conor Gallagher, not the technical, come deep, pick out from defence, play balls to left, right, link up Caicedo. No. None of that. No. I'm going to bring Adson Hassan in a bit. I'm just quickly flying through this and I'll bring him in. No, I don't want him in the pivot, but we didn't have a choice yesterday. We did have a choice yesterday, Poch. He could have just played Leslie. Could have played Leslie and Caicedo. Yeah, it might have been very defensive and whatever, but at least it would have made more sense positional wise, and then played Gallagher forward. But then people would have moaned, well, Gallagher's in the free. Do we need that? We need more players. No, yesterday we could have dealt with Gallagher actually being further forward and actually having Madueke on the pitch. From the performances that we've seen, we played better with him actually a bit further forward and then break on the attack. Keep closer to Cole Palmer, hunting down. But not good enough still because, again, he's not a pivot player. For me, 3. Not good enough. And then we go on to, and I saw a lot of people doing this again, and it really winds me up. Scapegoating Sterling again. Sterling's been very good for us this season. Very good for us. And again, yesterday, it was a couple of times he was very direct. But guess what? He had 3 or 4 players around him. They knew he was the biggest problem in the team that they had to stop. And guess what? We rely on him the most to score goals. Because if he don't score the goals, who does at the moment? And yes, he needs to step up because he's the experienced one, this, that, and the other. You can't, look, could he have had a better game yesterday? Yes, to a degree. Did I think he was atrocious? No. Was he on Jackson's level? Hell blimmin' no. He was direct. He was taking on players. He was crossing balls in. He was doing what Sterling usually does. And I like to see it, especially in the first half. Could he have scored? I think he had a chance. I think he had one very good chance where he skied it over. Yeah. Should be putting it back in net. 5, 4, whatever you want to say. I don't have a problem with Sterling. I want Sterling in the team. I want Sterling in the team around someone that's fucking clinical. So we don't just rely on Sterling. Because it means it would be a better Sterling if we do that. Useless. 1. But you know what? I like Madueke. I do. And I thought, God, this might be a good game for him, Makes a lot of sense. No, he was awful. Other than hitting the bar, he was awful. But do I fully blame him? Yeah, to a degree, partly. But I also blame Poch as well. Because guess what? Poch ruined the balance of what we've done very well for the last couple of games by playing fucking Cucurella and Disasi. Disasi's not going to overlap. Disasi's not going to make runs to open up space for him to take and dribble and do. He couldn't do anything yesterday. Anyway, he was ineffective. But even when he did have the ball, he wasn't dribbling. So that's where I would disagree with what he was doing because he wasn't being that effective. As effective as he can be. But still, we lacked. The setup was just crap. Just wasn't good. The setup was not good enough. And he suffered. But he definitely gets a 0 for a 1 or a 0 for he just wasn't good enough. And Poch takes the blame partly for that, in my opinion. And then we go to Nicholas Jackson, a.k.a. Lukaku. People saying, why are you calling him Lukaku? Strictly and purely, just down to his movement. I have never seen someone's movement so bad on the pitch since Lukaku than this guy. And it might be because he's still very young, development, he needs it, whatever. Maybe he's just not ready. But we're seeing that he's not ready. But him as an individual, as a striker, knowing that we've got those strikers on the bench, knowing that we need that striker up front to be that man and at least be effective, at least do this, that and the other on the pitch. None of it. He wasn't doing anything. In fact, he was just becoming a nuisance. He was running into people's positions. Yeah. He wasn't making the runs that Cucurella was making, which was striker runs in behind the back. He weren't making them runs. In fact, he doesn't understand. He doesn't read it well enough when I watch him. He's reading the game's crap. He doesn't notice when there's a chance to go and score. Like when Thiago Silva wins that flick and it lands into a beautiful patch in the middle where no Brentford player is. If that was Diego Costa, he'd have shifted round that guy and fucking hit that ball in the back of the net. Drogba. They would have noticed that space and gone, I'm just going to bargain at it. I'm just going to go throw a dice. And if someone wins the header and it lands there, I'm there. And I'm going to pull it in. He just stands back. He does a Lukaku. His movements are of Lukaku. The ball comes in the box. And instead of making the run there, he just goes like this. And doesn't move. What are you doing? And it is still early doors for him. And I don't want to sit here scapegoat and whatever, but he needs to do more. He's not doing enough. It's shocking. He needs to do more as a striker. We can't be relying, he can't be relying strictly just on Sterling on the pitch against a team a low block team that we struggle to break down. He needs to be the difference. He needs to do more. His link-up play wasn't great. He ran with the ball a couple of times. He really annoyed me at one point. He gets the ball from Palmer, knocking the ball up the pitch. He's on his own. He's 1-on-1 with the defender. Sterling manages to catch up with him. I think someone else comes up. I can't remember. It was two of our players were there. He's fucking looking down at his feet, trying to dribble and take the guy on instead of looking up and playing it across the pitch to Sterling, who then could have played it onto if someone didn't come across to him, could have played it off to the right and we were through. We've had a chance. His vision was just not there. Everything about his game was not there. But he wants to walk around Stamford Bridge when he's getting called out by the fans and tell them to shush because he's not scoring. No, look at yourself, mate. I don't want to turn on him because he's still very young. But at the end of the day, I was disappointed in him yesterday. Very disappointed in him yesterday. Especially when we had the attackers on the pitch. And then we get to this guy. And he was a 0. He gets nothing more than a 0 from me. He was awful. And then there was this man who was absolutely amazing. Showed us why he needs to play a 10. But he's been robbed yesterday. He got robbed for 2 assists. He should have had 2 assists minimum. His vision, passing, through balls, over the top, little chips over the defence. All it needed was a clinical finisher. That ball into him, that went into Kukurea when he uses his right foot. I guarantee that run would have been made from Christopher Nkunku if that would have found him. He's putting that in the back of the net. A couple of them little balls that Paul Palmer did. If that lands to that guy, it's a different story. But we're relying on defence to make runs into the box because we've got an incompetent striker up front that can't think to make them runs. It's like playing with 10 men. It was like when we had Lukaku. So I keep saying Lukaku. It wasn't good. And now we've got someone that can create from a 10 and showed why he can play there. Comfortable on the ball, carrying, movement, pass, links to play well. Quality. He deserves an 8 for me. 7. I mean, we lost, so probably a 7, but he will get the highest score for me. He was let down yesterday, in my opinion, by the people around him. And it was a shame. And it was good to see him play in that 10 pocket because we've seen him play off the right a lot. And he's played very well, by the way. But playing in the 10 against low blocks when we are at home, Cole Palmer, but with someone clinical up front and creating like we did in the first half, we would have won. Would have been 1-2 up. Once you get that first goal, it fucks up their low block plans. They think they can just keep rolling up to the bridge, playing low blocks to 60 minutes, knowing that we're not going to score because of the players lined up on the pitch, and then hit us like they did yesterday. And they're going to keep doing that until we fucking solve it. And we need to solve it. We can't keep doing this 3 years. We've been watching the same game. I am fed up of it. I'm done. And now I'm going to get forward in because I'm fed up of talking now. I wasn't even going to do a show today because it just pissed me off. Forward. How you doing, bro? I mean, not the greatest of games. I'll let you talk about the overall game. I want to get 3 points off you. I want your feelings on the lineup from Poch and the way he set us up, the players on the pitch and their performances, and the third one, I can't even think. The third one, just whatever. You say what you like, mate. Just do
I'm probably going to need like about 90 seconds. I'm just finishing something up, but then after that, I'll come in. So maybe I'm going to let somebody else come in first with their
Let's go to
recap.
AJ. No worries. We'll come to you in a bit. AJ.
Yes, sir. Big up, John. Big up the chat. I mean, I know you want those 3 points. I'll just give you a little intro. That lineup. I just don't get why we had 2 right backs on the bench. I understand Reece James is injured, but we had Malo Gusto on the bench, who has played well for us. He's made 1 or 2 mistakes, but basically every player on the team has made a mistake at this point. So I don't understand why Poch made that change. And two, I was wondering if we should have went with if we should have stuck with the same front three or the same setup as Arsenal, where we didn't use a true striker, because I see that the ball doesn't move as well when we use a striker. At least with Jackson, he's not giving us what we want. And I mean, Broha, he had his 2 appearances and he did decent, but I don't know. I just, our attack looked the best in that Arsenal game, so I was wondering if he would have stuck with that. So I was shocked off of those two things from the get go. Yeah, go ahead, John.
Well, what about the midfield for you? I mean, could he have played Leslie? Did you like Gallagher in the pivot? Like, how did you feel about that?
You see, Gallagher, we've had millions of discussions on this channel. Gallagher is basically none of our first choice to be in that midfield setup, but he has earned it and proved himself over the past couple games, especially. So, it was expected for him to start, but I didn't expect Enzo to not be in the equation, and that's where everything changed. So now Enzo's not in the equation. Um, Gallagher has to now move back, and when you're playing in that double pivot, you have to exude certain qualities, and Gallagher just doesn't have those qualities that we look for in a player that works in the double pivot. So it was a catch-22 because Gallagher had to start, but Gallagher is not the guy we want in the pivot. It would have been nice to see Leslie, but obviously Gallagher was going to start. So I think with Enzo being out, I think it kind of threw everything out of the little momentum that we
But he's
had.
got a lot of scapegoating recently, Enzo, apparently. I've been
He
told,
has.
apparently. So
He
what's that
has.
about?
I agree with you. Even from me, I think offensively he needs to give us more, and I still think so. Because we have a strong midfield, but we're still not getting anything really from our midfield. We're getting some decent protection with Caicedo, but in terms of the offense, we're not getting any goals or assists from midfield, and that's just a fact. And that's been our problem for years, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, I hear you, mate. Hassan, I mean, what do we say, mate? What do we say about that?
Uh, it's probably not the result that everyone wanted. If that's, I was kind of speechless in a sense. I thought that maybe if we performed the way we did to some degree at Arsenal, we'd probably go in and smoke these lot. But it's the same old Chelsea. It's the same old thing that's been happening for the last 3 years. Low blocks, sideways, and stuff like that. But the only positive that I can probably even say is that which was the first, like 15, 20 minutes before we started to do nothing after, which was we transitioned the ball quicker from defense to attack. I think that's the only good thing that I probably could take out of the game. But other than that, wasted chances, players not. I just don't know what to say with the attack. Like, we've changed so much of our attack. We've changed our midfield. And we're still having the same problems where the players are having, 10, 15, 20 shots, only 1, 2 goals going in, if we're lucky. And it's just, I really don't know what to say. And Poch is not really helping himself when he's having. I understand the issues with the right backs and resting and stuff like that, but to play centre backs or full backs, we're not Man City. We're not trying to be what they do, like with the whole inverted fullbacks and all of that crap. But I just don't know what to say, Jam. It's just the results really, really like ruined a lot of our moods and it's ruined our momentum. We could have gone into this game, gone on the high, tried to obviously. We can then look at Tottenham. We got Tottenham, City, and Newcastle, if I'm correct, in that order. We could have gone into them games looking a bit positive, but now I think that's knocked off a lot of players' confidence, and confidence is key with this squad because we've seen time after time again what happens when players lose confidence and their head begins to drop. It's gonna get real ugly the next couple of weeks, but I'll probably agree with your lot's rating. I think I think a lot of players are going to get really, really low rating today. Well, yesterday, sorry, I should say. Besides Palmer, I think Palmer is probably our man of the match. He's the only one that has been creating chances, and what a player he is, man. He's probably the best signing under Bowley so far. The way he's so calm and composed under the ball, you just thought it's just a rarity to see the players that can ping a ball through that is so calm.
He just needs
And
more quality around him, doesn't he? Really, with
yeah,
like
exactly.
Imagine Nkunku coming into that like sort of creating around him. Do you know what I mean? Like he's just
Yeah, if
keep
he
saying
if
that,
he
and
has that lethal, if we had someone that could finish the way Haaland does, you'd be seeing Palmer with like getting assist every week. But
I
yeah,
think
it's
Tottenham
just
more confident to play that system as well, because what I don't want him to do is look at that system and go, actually, we played more offensive players on the pitch, but we were unbalanced. No, we were unbalanced because you decided to not only play Disassi, which completely ruined the balance. You should have played Gusto or someone. Yeah, but play the offensive players, play Palmer where he did in that position when we're playing against the lower teams. But also, if we can add someone clinical up there and play a right back and play the way we have done in last games, I think would be fine. I do. I think we'd be fine, but we don't help ourselves. That's what I'm trying to say.
the players don't help themselves in missing chances as well. Especially,
No,
I don't know what to say, man. But for Sterling, we can't just rely on Sterling. That's the problem. Like Sterling has always been that player where he can switch on at games and he can be the frustrating player he is, like we saw yesterday. The inconsistency, we can't just rely down our flanks because teams, you've seen it before, Premier League teams start to switch on, start to see like what channel of play, what passage of play you're doing. After 10, 20 games, they're going to try to nullify you. And that's what's been happening. But it's going to look very, very peak when it comes to Tottenham and Newcastle City. I don't want to talk about that yet. We save that for another preview.
Yeah, I mean Tottenham is the next game, and although Blackburn's the next game, and then it's Tottenham Wednesday. We've got Blackburn at home, which could help with the confidence if we can win a couple of goals in there somehow, and then Tottenham away on the Monday night kickoff at 8:00 with a Sunday game against Man City at 4:30 on the same week, and then we have a break in between that for a week. I think it is 2-week break, and then we're back to Newcastle, Brighton, and then Man United at the beginning of December. Forward. I'm assuming you're with us now. Where do you want to start, mate? Where do we go with this? Where do we go with what we saw from the Arsenal game to what we saw yesterday, mate? Seems like we take 2 steps forward, and like I said, we end up rewinding back 10 steps. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean it's just deja vu, really. Again, if you're gonna predict Chelsea games nowadays, it's a very similar pattern, a very similar template that we tend to follow as a team. And then you start pretty well. The game's a little bit more naturally open at that point. We create chances, we miss them. It slows down a bit after that, and then second half just ends up being what it is, a very merry blur, and we find a way to lose. Whether it's individual error, yeah, and it's because of that, and we're gonna be sorry again yesterday, which is annoying. Again, if it's moments of quality that beat you, it's a bit different. It's like you can not accept it, but it's a better way to lose than losing like that again. So obviously very frustrating there. And obviously, when you look at recent games, obviously the difference between Fulham and Arsenal, obviously we started those games well as usual, as we usually do, but we then obviously capitalized and scored. And then the flow of the game obviously changes after that point. And that's why you have to be clinical in those moments and take your chances. And we're fortunate that we are one of those teams that just pretty much always starts games well. Other than Burnley, I think that was again quite a rare game, and obviously, luckily they were poor, so they didn't punish us fully. We got back into the game through individual brilliance, and then second half we did our thing, cool. But other than that, no, we actually are one of the few teams, or one of the teams that you can say, we generally always start games well, but we just don't capitalize, and that's why it's so frustrating because we are probably the worst good side I've ever seen in my life. Like there are a lot of good components to this team. Obviously, we're missing very important factors that take you from being okay. You look good, you played decent, you're a threat, but then you actually win games. You actually hurt teams when it matters most. And obviously, the biggest cause of that, or the biggest reason why we don't hurt teams, is because we don't have reliable goal scorers. And we spoke about it all summer. We spoke about it all season. The only reliable goal scorer in the squad that is signed on this roster is Christopher Nkunku. And he got injured our second last preseason game, maybe our last season game. But there was still time to go and rectify it in the summer. Like, I don't want to go over the point too much because we've talked about it many times. But the board they didn't react in the market again. Everybody in our rivals want to say, "Oh, you spend too much money, and we spent a crazy amount of money." But then the moment when we actually need to spend money, we don't spend it, which is criminal. So yeah, that's why we're left with performances like we have yesterday and have we seen all season, where it can be pretty decent, but we're not clinical and then we get punished. Obviously, I do want to talk about the lineup and like from then obviously the lead on to Poch because we got to talk about Poch. You got to talk about Poch. So obviously with the lineup, listen, the front six, I'll be real, I was cool with it, innit? Like, like obviously Enzo, Mudryk, they weren't available. It is what it is. And obviously the front six we played what it was. Like, I'm not gonna say that I want to see Leslie over Gallagher for me, just because I feel like Gallagher is more likely to give you more of a goal for it. Um, so I feel like that was fine. It was four natural attacking players ahead of the pivot, which we don't normally see. We weren't seeing that before in the season. Normally it was like Chilwell left wing, three centre mids against teams like low blocks like Forest and Bournemouth. So at least that I was happy with. And obviously first 25 minutes, that front six should have had enough to win the game or to at least put us in a dominant position, which they didn't do. Obviously, my biggest issue, which we've obviously talked about, is the lack of offensive fullbacks. There was no reason, no logical reason I can think of to drop Gusto. Like, it's just illogical. Again, if you're so set on playing the sassy because he's going to be great aerially and he's going to stop us from conceding goals. Funnily enough, he's the one who made the big error that let us to concede a goal from an aerial cross. Crazy. But if you really want to get the sassy in the team, cool. Play three centre backs, cool. But then you play Colwell at left back because Colwell and Cucurella at left back offensively, it's pretty much the same thing. Pretty much the same thing. So then you still got Colwell's height there, cool. And then you have Gustav, who is taller than Cucurella. And then you have somebody who offers that width on the right hand side to overlap. So that was obviously a big issue. In terms of the actual game itself, again, like I said, we started well. But once Brentford were like, okay, cool, you know what, we're getting cut open quite a bit. Palmer's killing us in midfield. He's finding a lot of balls in behind. We've caught life a bit because Chelsea are just terrible in front of goal. They sat in their low block, and they made it extremely difficult for us. And from that point on, we just never looked that likely. We never looked that lightly. And then obviously once they got the goal, it was a wrap. And obviously the goal, last thing I'll say is obviously on the goal, they obviously created an overload on the wing from the throw one again. They got in behind for a cutback before. We didn't recognise the threat. We let them do it again. Between Cucurella, Sterling, Gallagher, they have to recognise that earlier and make sure that they go 3v3. There was 3v2. And then the cross comes in, and it's just terrible from Disasi. Just terrible from Disasi. So again, Poch, the team selection was not right. There is some sympathy for him because he can't control the fact that Sterling doesn't finish chances. Nico Jackson's movement in the box is one of the worst I've ever seen in my life. And then you were also relying on youngsters that he did bring in, of course, but still, you would still expect at this level that these guys can be clinical. But we've come to expect now that we're going to see these performances where it looks decent at times, but against low blocks and teams that want to sit in, unless we get a penalty, unless we get a random cross that goes in the top corner, or maybe Sterling pops up with a moment of brilliance that he might do every 2 or 3 or 4 games, we don't score goals. And it's going to be like this till January, which is very disheartening to see and say, but it's a fact. It's where we are right now.
Is it a saviour that the next couple of games that Chelsea have are against oppositions that are probably going to attack us?
100%. And that's why I'm not as downbeat in terms of, oh my God, Tottenham are going to now cook us. City are going to cook. Like, okay, City are City in it. But Tottenham, Newcastle, Brighton, fucking United. Like, I don't fear those teams in terms of like, oh, how the game's going to be. I think we'll take the game to most of those games. We'll probably have more possession than most of those teams. Do well in terms of creating chances and like giving them a game. But as we've seen, we don't win games. It felt like a lot had to go right for us against Arsenal to win that game, and we did put ourselves in position to win the game. We had it in our hands and we threw it away. But we're not always going to get those VAR penalties. We're not always going to get crosses going into the top corner. So we need guys to reliably produce brilliance. And obviously, the only person that's been looking like doing that this season, obviously we'll put Palmer to one side because he's obviously mainly a creator. And obviously in front of goal, he had some moments yesterday which weren't great. But that's not his primary thing. His thing is to create, and he created. Guys in front of him just didn't finish in it. And you look at Sterling. Sterling is that guy who has sometimes shown it that he can produce moments of brilliance, driving, winning penalties and whatever. Obviously, in big games, he hasn't really done that. So that's where obviously I do worry about the result. not necessarily the performance, but the result against teams like Tottenham and Newcastle and all of this, I feel like we may just not have enough in the final third to then score. And obviously defensively, while we are relatively good, we do give chances where we do have mistakes in us. And it's just frustrating that that's probably going to end up costing us in these big games.
I know people say, "Oh, we shouldn't be piling our hopes on one player and what if he doesn't or whatever." But I really just do think,
man.
I just really just do think that if Nkunku's in that team, we win these games that we're losing or drawing. I really do. I think he takes. It's not. If any Chelsea fans says to you, we don't create, it's what we create. We create enough chances, right? I just think with Nkunku in the team, one or two of them, maybe if you don't get the first one, but the second one, if he's always going to score. He's just got that hunger to know where the goal is and where to.
You know what it is, Jim, right?
Both change games.
Yeah.
I was gonna say forward, is he also opens up that channel of flank which we never really go through. Usually it's down Sterling's side. So if we have someone like Nkunku with our threats down both sides, and essentially it takes pressure off Sterling in a sense where because he's always gonna have to be the guy that produces the moments of brilliance or whoever it is on the right flank. And Nkunku will bring that extra option.
When Cucurella had that chance yesterday where the ball came in and he right-footed it straight at the goalie, that run is something that Nkunku does a lot of, and I saw it in pre-season. I know we only saw glimpses of him, but in pre-season he likes to, if he's playing off the left, he likes to make that inverted run forward in behind the defence. He's always playing as close as he can to the striker if he's not the striker, right? And that moment there where the ball, where I think Palmer played it over the top, wasn't it? And he caught it. Yeah. If that was Nkunku, I think he would have done one or two things. I think he would have took a touch, a very good touch, and then just planted it in. Or you just planted it in one of the top corners of that goal, in my opinion. That's the difference of the quality of the clinical finishing. And this is why I'm saying, look, I'm not saying, relying on Nkunku, that's all we've got. But let's be serious. It is all we've fucking got. So when we haven't got it, I want it. I don't want this.
But it's a fact, though, Jim, because just look at the impact Cole Palmer has had on the attack. Just in 3-4 games. You already see the difference of how the ball flows through the attack. When he gets the ball, he chooses the right pass. He makes the right decision. When you add Nkunku to that, it's just going to add more quality to the attack. So we're not putting all of our eggs into one basket, but that's a serious basket that we're adding to the team.
Why would he not score goals, though, Ashraf? That's what I'm saying. People say, imagine if he comes and don't score. We're creating. Imagine Cole Palmer.
Well, the thing is, obviously, we don't know what version of him we're going to get back from the injury. And obviously, it's different playing a full preseason and then coming in fresh into a team. Now he's going to be coming in with coming off an injury, not fully match fit.
Middle of
there's also
the season.
Then the pressure as well that, our savior. Players might not like that pressure. He might not thrive under that. So it's obviously different now, but that's why we should have addressed it in the summer and we didn't.
That's it. And that's what I was about to say to what Paul said. I've missed him ever since when he got injured, I was so angry. Ask these, I was fuming in the group chat. He got injured and I was moaning straight away. We're fucked. I said straight away, I went, who's going to score the goals? Well, Jackson looked good on this, that and the other, but we knew within Nkunku his pedigree, what he's done, where he's been, and what we saw in pre-season. Because, do you know what? In some of them games in pre-season, he didn't actually play that well. But guess what? He still scored.
Yeah, 100%. 100. Can I come in? Can I come in on this because it obviously links to what True Blue is saying here, and it's like sometimes you don't need guys to just play great. You just need guys to be clinical and just be decisive. And again, I've seen Salah have very meaty games where he's just there to be decisive for Liverpool.
Yep.
And like I always say to guys,
Haaland's a prime example.
I said it. Yeah, prime example. And I said it off the top as well that we're not a terrible team. It's just we're not decisive. We don't win games. We're not enough of a threat in terms of putting it in the back of the net and also keeping out of our own net when it matters most and not making mistakes. So when you say, Nkunku wasn't missed from the Arsenal game, well, we got our goal through a penalty. Okay, we did play well, but we still needed a penalty, a VAR penalty, from a random handball to get the first goal. Then the second goal comes from a cross, a miss-hit cross into the top corner. And then we did have other chances to actually kill that game. Nico Jackson, Palmer, Gusto, Enzo twice, Gallagher, so that there were chances to kill the game, which maybe an Nkunku would have done, and then it's 3-0 and it's game over. Again, you saw even with Fulham, like when we actually score the goal first and we take the initiative, okay, then the game looks different. But again, against teams like Bournemouth, Forest, Aston Villa was another terrible one. Like when we're playing well and we don't score, of course it has effect on the performance, and then the performance naturally doesn't go as well. and then we allow teams to be in the game, and then they can go and win it. So goals change games. If you don't have a goal scorer, everything looks different.
Can I just say one thing real quickly? Right. I don't want to just answer to this because it says it's Nkunku proven against low blocks. All right. I watched Christopher Nkunku in pre-season, right, and this is the difference. It's not about can he be good against low blocks. It's the fact that we're actually creating against low blocks. If we wasn't creating against low blocks, then I'd have a bit of a problem. But we are creating, which means if you throw someone in like him at the end of them, you're going to have more of a chance of actually putting it in the back of the net. And the first goal is always important against low blocks because their game plan is to hold out to 60 minutes. But if you score in the first 20 minutes, the game plan's out the window. What they then have to do, come out. And guess what? That's where we'll hurt you even more because now you're playing into our idea. There's going to be more open place for Palmer, players to run in behind like Sterling. And that's why we need to score so early. But in the pre-season games that I watched Nkunku, there was one big difference. Even though him and Jackson were playing together, yeah, and I noticed Jackson's movement even then at that point because I didn't question it because of Nkunku. There was one game where he's playing off the left, Jackson's up front. We get the ball out to Sterling on the right, all right? He gets in behind. He whips the ball in, right? And he just predicts that the ball's going to be in that space. And guess who's the player to arrive in that space? Nkunku. And guess where Jackson was? Outside the box, rather than making a run and guessing and assuming that the ball's going to go there. Yeah. And he ends up scoring. And in yesterday's game against Brentford, Thiago Silva heads the ball at the near post, right? Don't tell me they don't plan for these kind of things or not train and understand for these things, where to position themselves from specific moments in corners because they train for corners, right? We've been crap from corners for a very long time. But Thiago Silva does what he does very well. He gets to the front post, he heads the ball, right? And guess what? Not one person was in that space where no Brentford player was, or no Chelsea player was, which would have been a straight goal. And Diego Costa used to arrive there so well. Remember back in the day, we find the space in the box and bang, he'd score. Christopher Nkunku in that game yesterday was Nicholas Jackson at the back post with that player. He wouldn't have just stood there like that. He'd have lost the player. He would have noticed that there's the space. And that's the difference between quality players, clinical players. They predict, they assume, they gamble that the ball's going to go into them positions. And he would have been there yesterday. I am telling you now, he would have been in that position and we probably would have scored from that. He would have.
Yep. I agree.
He does so well. He's a killer in the box. His movement in the box is very good in Nkunku. Very good. And that's the difference.
You know the sad thing, though? If you look at that first 30 minutes, we say that we created chances, but the chances that we created are high quality chances. Like if you're judging those chances on a professional level, there's no reason for you to be missing those chances, especially multiple times. Cucurella's chance should have been a goal. Sterling had a shot from maybe 8 yards away. He's blasting it over the goal.
Sterling was criminal that chance.
I mean,
that's the one that
come on.
He's better than that,
you gotta just at that level. There's no reason for you to be missing those goals.
Can I just say as well, like quickly? Can I just say quickly that level and also 350k a week again?
Oh my!
I like Sterling. He's been our best attacker this season, but he's not Salah. He's not even Saka in terms of like being reliably to win us games. He's just not been that guy. And I do like him. He's been driving the ball well, a bit more this season. But again, I've said it all the time. While he was good at City, while he was good at Liverpool, he can't be the main guy. You need somebody else around him, and we didn't address that.
Exactly. So
he probably would have scored yesterday if someone would have scored the first goal. Because it would have opened up and then he would have had more. And then that's when he is.
Then we're talking about Palmer having a 10 out of 10. Sterling's been great this season. It's all different. We're talking about the defense has been good. Masterclass. Like it would have been a different story, but we're just not scoring goals, and goals change games. Like I keep saying, like people don't recognize that. We can have a different perspective on the team and how players are playing if we're actually scoring goals when we're meant to score goals, and the game just looks different.
I like this version of Sterling as much as people. Yeah, all right, he should have scored yesterday, but it's a different Sterling. It's a Sterling that's committing players. It's a Sterling that's running at players. It's a Sterling that's now being a bit more effective when he gets the ball at his feet, dribbling ability. I didn't realise how good of a dribbler he is with the ball at his feet. Like, I don't know, the last couple of games he's been doing it quite often, but he's very direct and he can beat a player very easily. And like, you're right, we can't be relying, and we are. That's the problem. Unfortunately, we've got no choice. We're relying on Sterling to score goals because our strikers are incompetent, or striker is incompetent in helping us do that.
Yep.
And we've got to talk about Jackson quickly because at the end of the day, the type of Jackson that I'm watching at the moment is a lost Jackson. It's a Jackson that's not understanding his role. It's a Jackson that don't actually even look like a striker. He's not
His
even doing the
performances
basics.
have went down. They've went back. He's went backwards.
Though, forget the goals at the moment. He's not even doing the basics. If he was doing the basics and getting in behind and just missing, and like you could see, he's not doing. Is he doing any of that? He's not doing any of that.
The funny thing is, he does the hard. He does the hard part. He drops deep and collects the ball and turns, and he'll carry the ball 10, 15 yards. And then when it comes to the decisive moment of letting off the pass or getting a shot off, he always fumbles it.
He looks down too much for me.
I'm like, come on, like you did the hard part. You turned, you've carried the ball, you've held off your defender. Now all you need to do is just execute the last piece of the game of the puzzle.
He's coming deep and taking the ball 30 yards out, right? Putting it on his left foot and shooting.
Yeah.
On his right foot and that. Like, there's not even knowing man. Like, you're coming deep, and I get that. You're trying to help link us and move forward and whatever. But then when we do move forward, your final pass is shocking, and your movement in the box when we are trying to create is shocking. So actually, you're not helping Cole Palmer. You're not helping Sterling. And I know Madueke was poor, but you're not even helping him. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not helping these guys able to create for you any better because your movement is shit.
So I feel like I need to kind of speak on the Jackson now because, again, I've obviously got stocks on the guy. Been high on the guy. Obviously, I think everybody was high on his preseason. He did very well. And I'm the guy here sat with a Drogba Ivy with a 15 on his back because our striker right now has a 15 on his back. And I was hoping not that he'd replicate Drogba, but that he'd obviously build into being a good striker here. And I'm not here to say that, he's done. I feel like, Jem, you were a bit harsh on him earlier, saying that he's basically Lukaku. But that was extremely harsh.
Did you not feel like watching Lukaku yesterday, please? Just tell me. In that one specific game.
No.
In a different way.
It's
the touch, man. It's the touch that he does.
No. It's not even all that. It's not the like what he did when he runs off the side and he picks the ball up and he runs with it. It's not none of that. Where it reminds me of Lukaku so much is where it's so important. And I'm not talking about what he does with the ball technically outside. It's his understanding in the box. He just stands still. He doesn't run into space. Reminds me of Lukaku.
And that's why I said even like his movement in the box is one of the worst I've ever seen from what is meant to be a striker. And again, I was even joking with my boys earlier that saying that, you know what, like I like Nico, but maybe he's got to do a Jolinton and just reform as like a midfielder or something. Because striker maybe isn't for him, and that's okay. And I mean, obviously he did play a lot as a winger for Villarreal. Obviously had like a little purple patch up front, and obviously they play a bit more open in La Liga, like so it made sense. And obviously in open space, you've seen him do well. Obviously he's a confidence player, so now things that he was doing in pre-season in terms of touches, certain drives, they're not coming up as consistently. But I still feel like there is a place for someone like Jackson with what he offers. There's even times yesterday where, like, okay, he's dropping in, he's attracting defenders to him when the players are running off of him. The Cucurella chance comes from him dropping deep. You might say, a striker doesn't need to always drop deep, but that's okay when you've got gunmen around him running into that space that he's vacating. And obviously that's in Kunku running on instead of Cucurella, then it's a goal. So I do like what Jackson can bring to this team, but if you don't have killers around him, then it's not ideal because, again, you've got Sterling, who's like a secondary, tertiary piece. I would say also Jackson's kind of the same. Madueke, he's not really established himself in his team. And again, other than hitting the bar, which is a great moment of quality, which you need to win games, he didn't really offer much. And also that is partly on Poch for not giving him a right back to overlap. So again, the way that the team is built is just not ideal for any of these players. Obviously, Jackson should do more. He needs to do more. And obviously, I get why fans like Jem have less sympathy when he's shushing our own fans. I mean, listen, this is big Chelsea, innit? You got to just firm the abuse not the abuse. You got to firm the criticism from fans. Obviously, abuse isn't fair. And it's not nice having somebody say, why don't you score? Because it can be a bit like, obviously, I'm trying to, in it. But you just got to firm it, keep your head down, get to work and do better. And you don't win over fans by putting these performances and lashing out.
Sorry, go on, finish your point.
No. I mean, I've been rambling. I'm just freaking mad, like all of you lot, innit? It's freaking jarring. But yeah, you go, Hassan, man. You go.
Yeah, I was gonna say, right. You know that how players and stuff, when it comes to these, no disrespect to them, when it comes to these smaller teams and they transition to a team that actually has higher expectations and more demand from them. I think that a lot of these players are cracking under pressure, and I feel like that there's too much demand for a lot of these players. And let's be honest, and if I was to say actually properly, like for us to get top 4 even, or even Champions League qualifications, we're asking half of these players that we signed for £1 billion to produce the best ever season. I mean, bar Sterling and Kunku, which has like some sort of record of 20 goals a season, record in the top 5 league. You could probably make an argument them two getting 10 goals a season, but where the others were the 40, 50s, and this is the question mark. And yeah, I understand that with pressure, there's also money. There's a lot of money, big transfers and stuff like that. But I just don't get it. I just don't know why, in a sense, they crack in that sort of way. Like,
Then you have to. Then you have
it's a
to.
bit weird.
Then if that's the case, in what Hassan's saying, then you have to question the recruitment policy because why are we doing this? Then what are we doing?
Yeah.
Where's the project?
Because
If you're
Jem,
buying
I was
players
also
that
going to
should
bring
be-
up earlier.
Go on, mate.
Sorry that I cut you off, right? But I was going to say that we brought in Washington, who's on the bench for 14 million, and then we brought Ugochukwu for 24 million. And these players, like, no disrespect to them, they've got under 100 career professional men's game. And if we're not, our target, literally, Bowley and the board have set a target, top 5, which is qualification, UCI qualifications. If these players don't get it, who do we blame? I'm not going to lie to you. Poch, there's only so much that Poch can do, and there's only so much blame that I can give Poch. The players, let's be honest, a lot of players would want to come to Chelsea and stuff like that, regardless of what position they came from, what club they came from, and stuff like that. And what you're saying before, if we fail or if we start to fail miserably, the question has to be on the board and the higher ups and the recruiting department, as you see.
There has to be progression in what we're doing. And I know we've switched managers a lot, and it's hard to do that when you're doing that. But the owners need to start showing the fans, what's this, the second year now, need to start showing the fans that there's an idea, there's a progression, there's this, this is why we spent this money, this is what we're trying to do. There's not that. And yeah, it's still going to be stumbling blocks. And I think as fans, we can prepare to have some stumbling blocks throughout, through the season, especially in Poch's first season, understanding the requirements and where we need to be moving forward, and drilling the mentality, which you shouldn't have to do, but the mentality into him of the club that you're at, because it's a big club. It's you need to perform at this level. Like, I get all these things take a bit of time, but we can't keep looking okay like we have done the last 3 games and then dropping off. And then let's say Spurs losing, and then just completely falling off the grid, because then there's no progression. There's no, what is your project? What are we doing? Because if the manager can't push these players to perform to the levels of this standards of this club, which we hold high, and they need to understand that, then we need to know why you're buying these players, and then why, if you're buying these players because they're young and you think they're going to be good in the future, then the question marks need to be asked, because maybe they're not. And this is where
that's the concern. That's the concern for me. And obviously, I agree with everything that Hassan was saying, and he made a great point earlier, which is the major concern for me, because I don't think like whereas bad as maybe Hassan was alluding to. Obviously, I get we all recognize that this is not good how we're playing, but the point that he made earlier was that this can obviously get worse, because we've seen seasons where guys lose confidence. We've seen a league-winning team lose their confidence and finish 10th, that we did under Mourinho, and then eventually Hiddink as interim manager. So like we've seen that happen. We've seen it even last season where confidence goes, how bad it can be for the team. And I get it, it's the young policy, having to try and back a lot of projects, hoping that they come good. But again, like Hassan was saying, like you've got Washington, Matos on the bench. So we spent I don't know, I think 25, 30 million combined. Leslie as well.
40
I think
million
it's good,
combined. It's 14 million for him and 28 for the other one.
Flipping out. I mean, and then you got Leslie as well, who again I like Leslie. I haven't seen much of Matos and Washington, so I won't speak on him. But I like Leslie. But is he necessary when we've spent 45 on Lavia? I don't really think so. So again, when you spend all this money and he's on guys who are not going to help us right now in the short term, we know how left the season can go. Because as much as I'm saying we look good against these big teams, when your confidence goes, your confidence is gone. And Tottenham riding on confidence, I still think we'll give them a good game. I still think we can get a result from that. But then let's say if we lose that, a tight game, but we lose again, and then Man City could slap us, because it could happen, then the confidence is gone. And then we're just meandering towards December and January, hoping that, Nkunku can come back and save us. We need to splash another 70 million in January, hoping that can fix the season. And it's not ideal. It's not ideal conditions for these young players to grow in. And that ultimately makes this policy not going to work. Because if these young players are not improving, then we spent all this money on guys who are not doing the job now and are not improving to do the job in the future either.
There's
And
no progression.
this,
That's the real issue, isn't it? There's no, and this is why I was before, obviously, Donko. This is why I was saying progression is key, because we can't take 3 steps forward and then take 1 big step backwards. And it's a big step because it's not even just this season that we struggled like we did yesterday. This is things that we've struggled. This is something we struggled with for the last 2-3 seasons. Low blocks. We always seem to struggle at home to break these teams down. And it's not that we're not creating, because we're creating. Created
We're
yesterday.
creating more now than we did then, but it's just we don't have the goal scorers.
We're creating a
We
lot more
haven't
now.
had that final piece. We haven't had that final piece,
Where
and
is
we
the
still
final
don't have it.
I mean, in Cuckoo, and I keep saying this, people go, but you can't keep saying. If he was in that game yesterday, he scores a goal. I don't care what
He scores. He scores.
Like, it is, Go on, Don, tell us
Ah.
yesterday. What was this shit show, mate, going on? Honestly.
Bro, listen, you can go back to my other fan cams week after week. It's the same problem, Jem. You know what I'm saying? First half, we were playing well, attacking with really good patterns, building up well from the back. Even though Brentford are good defensively, bro, we were beating that low block. Do you know what I'm saying? That's why I get what people were saying about this narrative that Chelsea can't beat a low block, but I have to disagree to an extent, because we was in that first half. We created more than enough. AJ, I listened to what you were saying before. The chances that we had, at this level, bro, you should be burying. Sterling, you've got to bury that. Cucurella, if you're not confident, burying that. Just play it to the person on the right, because there was someone literally right there next to him. You guys were all on side, These chances that we're getting right now are better chances, bruv. So there's no excuses as to why you shouldn't be burying those sort of chances. And then again, in the second half, the same old story, Jem. We let them score, you know what I mean? Back post, all that height in the team, and we still couldn't jump up and fucking win that header on the back post. How many times are we going to speak about the fucking the back post this season? Yeah. If you're gonna play Disasi, make sure that he's on that back post and make sure that he gets his head on that. Do you know what I'm saying? Because that's embarrassing. That's fucking embarrassing.
Remember Ivanovic used to win every single header playing
back post.
Right back.
Yeah, all the time, innit? Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, like, it was just once we went down, I knew what was gonna happen. I knew we were gonna struggle to beat that low block. Brentford had us exactly where they wanted us. And in transition, bro, they were threatening because we were throwing everything forward. Do you know what I'm saying? So these lot need to put their shooting boots on. I put in a group yesterday.
Why does Poch not play a right back? Answer that question.
Bro, again, it goes back to the height thing, innit? I think that's the reason why he did that. But you could see in that game that Disasi wasn't really needed for the game. We could have gone with Augusto, Certain games like that, you're playing at home. Don't have a handbrake up, bro. Like, focus on our game. Make Brentford worry about our game. We're worrying about them too much. Do you know what I mean? We're worrying about them too much, because aerially, Levi's not bad aerially, and neither is Thiago Silva. They're not the tallest, but aerially, they're actually not that bad. Thiago Silva, again, on the end of headers in the box on like a corner, he's not the greatest, but in terms of aerial duels, he's actually not that bad if you check his stats, right? So we didn't need Disasi for this game. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's a shame, because Cole Palmer,
Sorry, Dom, can I just come in and ask you a question quickly, please? Because Jem asked you a question. I think it's almost a bad question, because I don't think there's any logic to so the question was like, why did he play Disasi right back? Oh, like, because of height. I don't feel like that's almost a bad question, because you could have just played Disasi RCB, Silva LCB, Colwell left back, because we've seen him do it, and I think Colwell going forward is pretty much the same output you're gonna get. And then you have Gusto at right back to be our right wing back when we're in possession and attack. So you could have had the height, but then also have Gusto, he's taller than Cucurella, by the way, have that offensive output. So that's why I look at Poch, and obviously I'm not trying to get onto you because you obviously advocating for Poch in the summer and everything, and people were as well. And a lot of us have like things that Poch has done, but certain decision making is very, very concerning, because I don't know if this is a guy that's going to be able to get us through the mire, which is what we're looking like we're going to head into.
Facts. I wasn't happy with that lineup, in terms of the balance at the back. I was happy with the attack. I said, cool, this should be enough to win the game. I was looking at Madueke. I said, bro, I'm hoping this guy turns up, because he hasn't really done much this season apart from Wimbledon. He was shit, But again, these are things that I can't excuse, because end of the day, we had enough up front. But again, I'm with you on that forward as well, bro. The back line, there was a lack of balance, man. It wasn't good at the back. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't good, and that's not the reason why we lost the game. No, but we could have potentially played better if we had Augusto in the team.
It affected Madueke, because this is what annoyed me with him yesterday.
He was by himself. He's isolated, bro.
You need, what have we done so well the last 3-4 games? What has been so really, like, what have we done really good? It's the fact that Cucurella and Gusto, our fullbacks, have overlapped and managed to get, and we've sort of gone like that, and it's helped so much, because the players that are playing in front of them, and then they're not isolated. They can then pick the ball up. They've got someone running behind them. They can play. If not, they can cut inside. They can do. We didn't have that option with Madrid.
No options.
He
was left by himself. Yeah,
No
literally.
options.
So
There was a time Palmer was on the ball. He was like, "Disasi, where are you, bro? Disasi at the halfway line."
Disasi
Like, bro,
didn't even
brother,
want to
where are you, bro?
He didn't even
And the thing is,
as bad as he was, and he don't get me wrong, I still think he could have done. He still wasn't doing his basics, dribbling, direct. You know,
he wasn't even beating his man. Yeah, he wasn't even beating his man.
He still didn't have the backing of Poch in being able to be successful in that game because he got thrown under the bus by not playing a natural right back that can make runs behind him. And that's what fucked us. And it fucks the rhythm. And you fuck the system because they get so used to playing in the structure. And then you go, oh, actually, let me make it complicated and take the right back out that's been very good this season and play just someone randomly that's not played in this position before. Right back and let me fuck up the balance. You know, this
is the annoying thing, Jem. That's what I'm saying, yeah. Poch, like I said at the beginning of the season, he wasn't being brave enough, right? Yesterday, he's taken literally 10 steps backwards because he's thinking more about Brentford. The only explanation I can think of, like I said, is the height thing with Disasi. But what you've done by bringing Disasi in, you've taken away that balance in the team, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? Gusto could have definitely been helping Madueke. If Madueke knows that Gusto's behind him, because number one, he's good one-on-one defensively, yeah? He's not going to get done up by a winger, right? And number two, he can actually overlap. I'm not a fan of his final ball, to be fair, but he can still be an avenue. He can drag players out while Noni goes into the half spaces. Do you know what I'm saying? So it just wasn't the right setup. It wasn't, man. It wasn't. But even so, we still created good chances. So the players need to look at themselves for not taking responsibility in front of goal. And Poch needs to look at himself and say, listen, I need to just start putting out a balanced lineup now. If we've got to play two centre-backs, just play two centre-backs, bro.
Please.
None of this free centre-back shit. Like, enough is enough now. We've got enough players back from injury that we can put out a balanced team. There's no need to be playing three centre-backs anymore. It just ruins the fluidity of the game. Do you know what I'm saying? Look, we were playing all right with three centre-backs. Yeah, and imagine if we don't have three centre-backs, but we'll play even better. So it's just, yeah, man. It's just.
We have been playing better without three centre-backs, though.
We went on a run. We went on a little run, undefeated run with the playing natural wing backs and two centre-backs. You know, Pochettino got to stop this scared mentality. Like, it has to stop because it's holding us back. We're not winning these games that he's trying to overcompensate. Oh, let me play a taller player over here. Oh, let me play a stronger player over here. We're not winning the game anyway.
Facts.
So what's the point of it?
We
just play a regular player there and let's deal with the outcome from there. We went on a mini run.
Yeah.
Playing the proper players. So let's continue with it.
We also did miss, and it was the first time we've seen Poch really push for a 4-2-3 with an extra attacking player. But what we also did miss massively, and people have been calling him out, and I keep saying it, is Enzo Fernandez, because I think Enzo Fernandez in the pivot, which is what he's been playing all season, and people go, well, we didn't do much against Arsenal. But me and Don spoke about this. There was a strict written rule for them two players in the pivot to play in the way that they did against Arsenal, and it worked because they nullified Odegaard in the pocket, and it was because we dropped back. But we asked them to drop back deeper and allowed Cole Palmer and Gallagher to occupy the 10 roles, which means that they didn't have to come out and press. They could just hold because they had them two in front of them doing that. And that was just the decision made for that specific game. But why I say Enzo's important is because in a game like yesterday, when we have the extra attacking player on the pitch now, and we have, if he would have played Gusto as well, which he should have done, and had Enzo next to Caicedo, not only is their chemistry very important, because they've built up a good chemistry, them two, playing together next to each other, but he would have also offered a lot more on the attacking instance with Palmer. Yep. And people go, but he's not scoring enough. But I guarantee the balance and chemistry would have been a lot better if Enzo was in the team next to Caicedo, rather than Gallagher being forced to play there, because he's not a pivot player. I'm sorry, he's not.
No, he's not. And in a low block, he's not. You're not going to get much from him, because we know his biggest weapon, is his how he works off the ball. You know what I mean? Off the ball, mobility, gets around the pitch, energy, all of that. But on the ball, bro, when it comes to games like this, where you need to break down the team and you need a little bit of creativity on the ball, you need a little bit of quality on the ball, he's not going to offer you that. Do you know what I mean? He's not going to offer you that. And people will try to say, oh, you're scapegoating Gallagher, whatnot. No, I've given Gallagher his props. He's improved on the ball this season. I still need to see more. But they're limited, exactly. There's levels to this. And like I've been saying, about him, he can have a good performance, but he ain't gonna give you that same performance consistently because he's not at that level. Do you know what I mean? And that's all right. That's all right, bro. Man United, when they were winning, they had players like that, bro. They had players like Darren Fletcher. Do you know what I mean? That you couldn't play them every single week. They had guys like John O'Shea and that, like players that were in the squad that did a job for certain games, but then they come back out. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So that's what Gallagher is. We can't keep going to him as our go-to guy, our captain, and all of these things. Yeah, it doesn't work.
He would have been free to play a lot further forward and been more effective. Like we didn't see it at Arsenal because, like we said, there was a rule, but being able to play in a game where you're up against a team now, got 11 men behind the ball, and Enzo playing further up the pitch now to be a bit more effective, would have been a lot better for us yesterday. And all right, he wasn't available. We can't do nothing about that. But we didn't have the answers to that issue, and that's what I'm saying. You know,
and let me touch up on Jackson's movement as well. Yeah, like guys. Yeah, it was one thing that I said about him, in pre-season is that this guy's movement is good. When it comes to like running in behind, he's quite good at it, right? But he's definitely not a fox in the box. Like I said in the group chat yesterday, bro, the guy is always 5 steps behind the wingers. Do you know what I mean? When the wingers are running in there, into the zone where you want to be as a winger to create, right? He doesn't have that ability to run into the danger zone. There's so many times where Jackson can get in there, and just literally, he's tall. He's tall. All he's got to do is get his foot on it or something. He doesn't have that ability, that awareness to be in there. And I don't understand why that's not being coached into him. That's a very basic thing as a striker to get.
Even in pre-season,
Pochettino and coaching, don't joke with that.
No, but it's not just that.
It must be. That's what I'm saying.
Don, Christopher Nkunku would have made them runs, and I'm keep saying this. That Thiago Silva header across the goal, where it landed right in the pocket of space in the box where no one was occupying, that's where Christopher Nkunku would have been. And he'd done it in pre-season when he was playing next to Jackson. He was the one, Nkunku, that occupied that space because it was natural to him.
That's
natural.
That's where any striker or attacker with real instinct, goal-scoring instinct is going to be. And we don't have that.
We don't.
Anyone.
You know? This is what I'm saying. Like, the only sort of positive I can take from this is, look, as much as it's frustrating for us now, it's annoying. We know that we should have gone out and bought someone in the summer. I know that the market was thin, but hopefully this has woken up Todd and Igbali to go ham in January, because we need a Tony, we need an Osimhen. Like, we need them more than Arsenal and that right now, because Arsenal, regardless of not having a striker, they still score goals. We don't. That's the big difference with us. Do you know what I mean? We're not scoring goals regardless.
Break low blocks down, because we can break low blocks.
We can. This is what I'm saying. That's why, Jem. That's why, Jem. When people were saying that Chelsea struggled to beat low blocks, I have to disagree to an extent, because we do beat these low blocks, but when we get these chances, we're not taking them, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? We're not taking them. That's the problem. So in January, we must be aggressive and go get Tony or go get Osimhen if possible. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so, I don't think we have a choice at this point. We have to get a striker because we're not scoring enough goals.
Good luck getting one, though. We look like the 2 out of 10 in the club that didn't wash.
Lewis, the one thing I agree with you yesterday, you said is it's not Stamford Bridge, it's Stamford Brothel, and that was.
Hey, Stamford Brothel, it is, bro. 3 games in a row against Brentford, we've lost at home.
3 games in a row at home, it's not very good. I mean,
that's some can't play will take away his shit.
Season.
You was there yesterday, obviously. I wasn't there. You was at the game, obviously. I watched it from home. But
poor Lewis, man. Poor Lewis.
Poor Lewis. And I go for him. You know what is it? I mean, is it just the fact that for the last 3 years we just haven't addressed the fact that we've not bought a striker in that could finish these games, or at least score the goals when we're creating? That then answers these questions when it comes to low blocks. Is that the issue, or is it more than that? Is it the fact that Poch set us up wrong? Is it the fact that maybe some of the players that are in this team are maybe just not that? Like, what is it? What is it for you?
Bro, we can talk about Jackson. Like, realistically, we need more than him, but he needs more time as well. Both sides are correct. It's just we don't have time. We need somebody for right now. So I wouldn't say sell him, but I'd say we need more than him right now. But the bigger issue is Pochettino. This guy couldn't break down low blocks with Neymar, Mbappe, and Messi, let alone what we have. This guy's never been able to break down a low block. He even admitted it in the post-match press conference. He is better when teams come out to play him. So now I have no confidence in any game that we have coming up, let alone like the runs of fixtures that we have now. the runs of fixtures after that, when we play the likes of Everton, Wolves, Sheffield United, what do you think this guy's going to do when we face a low block? Nothing. So realistically, like I get it. We need a little bit more from the attack. I'm looking at this manager and I'm saying I have no faith in you. No faith whatsoever.
You do better against the bigger teams with that. Do you not think that the blessing of having Newcastle, Spurs, Man United, teams that will come out us will be a blessing because we can play better against these teams?
It's not it's the furthest thing from a blessing. I don't want to play these lot. Like, yeah, like they'll come out a bit more. They'll give us a bit more of a game, but they have better players. They'll rip us apart. So, like, if our best idea in like 12th place, potentially 13th, depending on results, is let's wait till City come to the bridge next, we're fucked.
Yeah.
We're fucked.
Yeah, we are.
Like, realistically, Poch is probably gone by Christmas.
It could be a quick slide backwards, man. It could easily be a quick
Like,
slide.
I don't have faith for the Tottenham game. City, Newcastle, Brighton, United. Like, maybe Brighton, if anything, we get a result in that game. And even then, I don't want to underestimate Brighton. But then if we don't get results in those games, and he can't turn around Everton, he can't turn around Sheffield United or Wolves, sack his ass. Get rid of him. Because we will be in the relegation zone by then.
We'll be about 20.
Listen, I hear what Lewis is saying, innit? Like, I agree to an extent. Obviously, Poch needs to do more in terms of getting more out of these players. And again,
Bobby, if you're tired of me, why are you on this channel when my face is everywhere? What are you doing?
But yeah, I get
a manager who doesn't know how to deal with a low block.
There's a problem. But then is it just him though? Because in the past, previous managers have struggled to break down low blocks.
Yeah, let's not also pretend like we're not actually creating chances with this team. Though with these players, we actually are creating chances.
This is what Lewis
for bringing these players in. It's on the board for this policy because these players are getting chances. The system is creating enough, not chances. It could be more. And obviously, again, when I'm criticizing Poch, I criticize some of the decision making, not playing a single attacking fullback, wasting 4 games at the start of the season playing Chilwell left wing. Some of the games you play Gallagher with, you didn't need to play Gallagher in. All of these things, so I'm on Poch for that for sure.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we can't pretend that sack the manager and another manager is going to suddenly make Sterling clinical, Jackson movement in the box good.
Facts.
It's not going to change those things. So
this is what I'm saying. And Lewis,
in proportion.
And Lewis, look, think about it, if we was 2-0 up against Brentford yesterday, they're not playing a low block the whole game plan
changes, but that's what
they're coming out. They're coming out to play now. That's how you end up beating these teams 4-1.
Okay, but why was our attack so disjointed? Maybe it's because this dickhead decided.
It went disjointed for 25 minutes, not for 25 minutes, though.
100%, because that's why he was ineffective.
I saw a clip in the first half where Cole Palmer was literally screaming at Disassi to try and overlap, and Disassi isn't going to overlap because he's not that guy. Maybe if the
problem.
That's our attacker would have been a lot better.
Yeah, but that's not on Disassi. That's on Poch. Disassi's not a fucking right back.
Why? Yeah. So that I agree. That I agree is on Poch.
Yeah. That's on Poch.
See, but listen, that I agree is on Poch, but it's not on Poch when Cucurella misses an open chance. Sterling, again, your 350k winger attacker is blazing it over the bar from like 10 yards. Those stuff is not on Poch.
Of all people for not being clinical, then we're really lost.
Yeah, but we're looking at the chances that are being created. Again, Gallagher had a chance as well. Sterling, obviously Madueke hit in the bar. It was one moment of brilliance that he showed in the game, but again, if that doesn't hit the bar, if that goes in, it changes the whole context of the game. So again, I feel like these things, again, you can blame Poch, but I don't feel like it. Poch doesn't give me confidence based on the decision that he's making, but still getting rid of him before we get another window to get a striker in, I don't think is optimal because again, you're giving this guy a 5-6 year contract. It doesn't make sense.
Relegation zone is where I draw the line. Relegation form was what turned me against Potter. It will be the same thing that will turn me against Potter.
100%. It needs to have answers and we need progression.
We need to keep the standards high. Why are we accepting constant losses? Because it's like, if Nkunku is the biggest excuse I have seen Poch and Chelsea make over the last 3-4 months. And the amount of pressure that they're putting on this guy's shoulders coming off a long-term injury is a joke.
Yeah, but you can't. But this is the thing. The reason that's happening is because he is the only clinical killer we've got in the team. So whose fault's that?
That's the only one that this billion spent we actually went and invested in. And then when he went down injured, the board didn't respond. Again, you can blame Poch for that as well. Maybe for not getting in the air and being like, listen, bro, I understand football. I've coached many teams. He's the only one here I can trust to get goals. He's gone. Get me somebody else in. All we did was get Palmer in. He's a creator. He's done well, but he's not addressing the goal issue. and the board didn't adjust in the summer. So again,
and that's why I'm looking, and that's
what they've
exactly why and that's why we shouldn't even be looking at January. We should be looking at the here and now. I am looking at the here and now, but that's exactly why I've pinpointed January as a perfect opportunity for you lot to rectify your mistakes, because depending on Nkunku is a fucking howler. Yeah. And like Lewis said, I've seen too many people like Poch, using Nkunku as an excuse. Yes, you can't ignore it, but we still had more than enough to be winning these games and to be burying these chances. Yeah. The lineups. I know we haven't got a killer, Jim. I know we haven't got a killer, and Nkunku obviously
players that ain't clinical.
I know that.
But his decisions have made that worse.
I know that, Jim. But bro, let's talk about let's even round up the whole season. At the start of the season, this guy wasted everyone's time by playing Ben fucking Chilwell at left wing, playing Gallagher in the pivot, playing Enzo in the 10. He wasted about 3 or 4 games doing that, right? He changed it up, brought Palmer in. As soon as Palmer came in, we started to create better chances. Jackson scored. We beat fucking Burnley 4-1. We played our best football probably against Fulham. We played well against Arsenal when he started to make these positive changes. Then, like AJ said, my man's gone backwards again. Oh yeah, I'm gonna play fucking 3 centre backs, right? And the players have gone backwards again, and they're missing these chances. So I do agree with you, Jem. Like if we had Nkunku for these games, like even against Arsenal, when Jackson was trying to go around the keeper, Nkunku's just dinking that, bro. He's not thinking twice. He's gonna dink it over him, and he's scoring, and we leave with 3 points. There's so many games I can think of, like the miss against Forest, Jackson. If Nkunku's got that, that's in the back of the net. Do you know what I'm trying to say? But end of the day, we've still had enough, and we've still created enough to be winning without Nkunku, regardless, right? And in January, like I said, they need to rectify the fuckeries that they did in the summer by not going out and getting some goals in the team.
They're going to go into the January market and they're going to go, okay, how much do you want for Osimhen? We want the 140 million still for him. Okay, what about Tony? Let's go to Tony. Oh, we want 60, 70, 80 mil for him as well, even though he hasn't kicked ball for fucking God knows how long. Like, we're going to end up spending stupid money because, again, we're going to be forced into a position because we need it, like we did with the midfield. Caicedo, Enzo are spending stupid money on a position because at the end of the day, I don't think it was a limited market, don't get me wrong. But it was. I don't think we're very clever when it comes to like the whole pricing thing. Like looking into a market, for example, like when Haaland or Nkunku come around and for what we got them for. There's always going to be bargains like that out there, more than maybe Osimhen or Tony. But it just feels like we just panic at the time, rush to go and find the guy that's doing the most in the Euro and spend the money that we need to spend because we think it's going to be answer our questions. We've done the same thing when it came to Romelu Lukaku and spent over the odds for shit he was. And we were going to go end up doing the same thing again. Because
we didn't do that this summer, though.
But now we have players that can make the chances. Because you got the likes of Cole Palmer, who was the only one who actually did anything out of that entire attack.
Yeah,
but I agree as well. We do need more clinical finishers. Both sides are correct, but I'm looking at this manager and he fills me with no confidence at all. And it's up to him to do that.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you, Lewis.
I think that the playing style of what we've seen with him in the last 3 games is a positive. To say, well, actually, there's something there.
I mean, Burnley and Fulham should have been teams we were beating anyway, in all honesty. Like, it just felt like that we were Chelsea.
Yeah, but Lewis, no. You say that, bro, but we lost to Fulham last year at the Bridge, right?
That team was not Chelsea, bro.
I know, bro. But what I'm saying is, you can't, you see what you're saying? You can't take these teams for granted because end of the day, if you don't beat them, it's like, how have you lost against them? And then if you do beat them, it's, you should have been beating them anyway. It's not that. It's not
beating them if we want to be where we should be.
You're right, bro. You're right, bro. But end of the day, we've had last year was a harsh reality, and we've had to humble ourselves, because we haven't got clear finishes right now. So the fact that we beat Fulham the way we did, and the fact that we beat Burnley the way that we did, is a very good positive, bro. And with these young players, like Jackson, he needs confidence, bro. He's a confidence player. Do you know what I mean? And every single game he has like this, he's only going to get worse. He's only going to get worse because with a player that's like proven and good in front of goal, when they lose a little bit of confidence, when they get that one goal, they're all good to go. Jackson's got a lot of learning to do.
They need to all grow up.
I know they do, bro. I know they do.
You come to Chelsea, you play up here.
The players are inexperienced, so you can give them time. But when you're a manager in their 5th job, it's different. That's why with Arteta, it was all give him time because it was his 1st job. It's not Poch's 1st. It's his 5th.
Yeah,
it's true. So I don't have time for him.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
want
it's
to read
true,
through
it's
the
true,
super
it's true.
chats quickly, guys. Yeah, let me just go through because there's a couple here. Where is big up to Rogo Park? Says where is the on-field leadership? Still lack of experience, potentially an issue at the moment when you look at yesterday's team. Thiago Silva, Disassi. I mean, I probably struggle really, to be honest.
Rego Park, that's in New York.
Is it? Big up, man. Big up. Kenneth says we need to limit touches in the opponent's half. Is what he says there. He also says limit touches in the opponent's half again. Big up to you, I get it. And then he also says Lewis is too reactionary. Trust the process. I trust him, Poch. He'll get it right.
Oh, you sound like an Arsenal fan in 2020. I'm not listening to that shit. Trust the process. Yeah, whatever, man. I trust progress, not the process.
We also
trust the progress. That's a new hashtag right there.
We also have to look at what's being said after game, right? And again, you look at what he came out with yesterday, and how he spoke about that performance. And he came out saying that we played very well against Liverpool and Arsenal, yeah. But he says that we struggle against teams like Forest and that where we dominate, but we struggle to score goals when there's a block, where they're deep. We know that. Obviously, we can all see that. What worries me is his next comment, because he then goes, there are many bodies inside the box and we struggle to score. But in different games, when we play against Arsenal or Liverpool, well, obviously, because they come out and attack us, the team did really well. That's why we are not worried. What does that fucking mean? We are not worried.
man only wants to play against teams.
Trust the process. Trust in Poch. He'll get it right.
He's trying to say
guy who just admitted he don't know how to deal with a low block, and he's just hoping we do something against the top.
We are not worried.
He's a fucking idiot.
He's just trying to say that since we played well against quote unquote better teams, we'll be fine and in the long run. That's what he's trying to say.
He's that is an
idiot. That is an awful interview. We just lost to a low block 2-0, and you're talking about teams that come out and we played okay against, and then saying that we shouldn't worry because we played well in the bigger games. So we'll just try and do it against the smaller. Well, we're not. What are you talking about?
Poch needs to. You know what he needs to do, and I think managers need to go back to this. Remember back in the day, Mourinho. He you play certain players based on the opponent. And it's normally one or two players. Pochettino needs to find one or two players who he can throw into the mix and help us with the low block situation. We don't have to play the same players in the same position every single game.
Yeah, but do you know what, AJ? That comment worries me because he's looked at yesterday's game and gone, yeah, well,
it does.
We can't score goals, but do you know what? We played really well the last couple of games, so we'll just...
but he could be just saving face, though.
Right. Just keep doing what we're doing right now. Don't worry about it. I'll just play the same shit.
That's just PR, though. That's just PR.
I mean, the interview is terrible, isn't it? But to AJ's point, I judge managers more on the actual decisions that they're making, innit? So it looks like he identified the Brentford game and thought, okay, what do we need to change? We need more height. So I'm going to put the Sarsia right back, even though you could have just put Colwell left back and have Gusto right back and you still have your 3 centre backs, but at least one attacking fullback. So again, those are the things that concern me with Poch, because I do feel like that. I do see patterns of play. I do see a pretty decent team at times. We do create more chances than we've had in previous seasons. We do have more wings in terms of dribbling and driving into space and creating generally. But when we get to the final third, the decision making across the board just isn't good enough. You can maybe trust Palmer in certain situations, but then if he's putting a ball on the plate for somebody, are they going to finish? And more often than not, the answer is no. And that's what needs to be addressed somehow before obviously January. Because I'm not just saying, let's wait on Nkunku, or let's say we don't want to put everything on him because he's obviously injured. It's a new league, so he's not coming off of a preseason and everything. Cool, we need to get some strikers in. But at the same time, we still need to see something in between that gives us some sort of faith in Poch. That, okay, once you get a striker in, can the football still be very good? Maybe even be better. And then also we're going to be clinical. And then maybe then, okay, you know what, Poch? You're making a Chelsea that we can believe in. But obviously, as of right now, when you're making these constantly strange decisions that are affecting us poorly on the pitch, we're not going to have faith in you, bro. As simple as that.
We say not to rely on Christopher Nkunku, and that's the wrong way to think and whatever. But if you take Haaland away from Man City last season, they scored them as many goals as they did. Let's be serious.
Well, City did score like 100. They scored more goals the season before without Haaland in there. And obviously that's based on the team, the players that they have, the system. And obviously we have some of those components, but obviously we don't have the players, and we don't have like Mahrez's and Prime Sterling and all these guys who were actually putting up good numbers. Like, it's different here. So a goal scorer is more important, a killer is more important, because again, you look at teams like Liverpool, I've seen them play a lot this season, and they've had games where they're just needy But Salah's just there on the end of a chance to score, and he's a reliable goal scorer. He's in the right spot, and he'll finish.
Yeah.
And
And
we
that's,
just
and
don't
that's,
have
and
that
that's,
anywhere.
and that's exactly why I've spoken, specifically about these losses that we've had. I've said every single time, every fan cam that I've had, if Liverpool had those chances, they bury them. If Arsenal have them chances, they bury them. It's boring.
Yeah.
It's the same shit. It's the same shit. But we can't ignore the fact that we're missing Nkunku either. We can't
And we
ignore
have
that,
to,
man.
because again, we've shown that we haven't got the comeback ability. Because I think Man United have been dog shit all season. I think we're much better than them. But again, the reason why they're above us in the table is because they can somehow,
Facts.
in a very similar situation against Brentford, be 1-0 down, 90+ minute. McTominay does his thing and somehow gets 2 goals and they win the game in the most damning way possible.
Yep.
We don't even have that in our squad to be able to turn around games like that and scumbag a win. We don't have it. We have to almost be perfect. And to be perfect,
Have you
need
not spoken?
match
Have you not
winners.
spoken?
We don't have it.
Have you not spoken about that fucking dubious push that didn't get given as a penalty? By the way,
Yeah, that was a penalty.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely.
that was a.
Yeah, I saw that was
It's-
a pen, but that's really what we're hanging on to.
Nah, I'm not hanging on to that.
Yeah.
I'm not hanging on to that. I'm just saying. I don't know if you guys spoke about it. Yeah, but yeah, that was a.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
They need to
I
stop
forgot about that,
giving
but
they need to stop giving
I hear
they
it,
need
but
to
that's
stop
the funny
giving-
thing is that we almost need things like that to go our way, because against Arsenal, as good as
Exactly.
we were, we still needed the penalty, the VAR penalty, and then a cross to go top corner for us to get 2 goals. And then we still had chances in Jackson, Palmer, Enzo twice, Gallagher, and we didn't put those away. So it's like we almost need everything to go in our favour to win,
Yeah.
and that is not sustainable.
And
The problem with us, is that majority of the season we've been chasing the game, bro. We've been chasing the game, and we're not clinical as it is. We concede first, and then we're chasing, and we're trying to beat these low blocks that we can't fucking beat. I'm
But we
bored of
can
it.
beat. We just
I'm
don't
bored of
fucking
it.
score.
Yes,
So
yeah. I mean, after
shit.
when the team scores first, we struggle to beat that block, Jem. Is what I'm saying. When
Yeah,
when
yeah.
it's 0-0, when it's 0-0, we beat the low
We
blocks.
go
When we go
clueless.
down, we struggle
That's
to
the
beat
problem.
them. That's the problem.
In the second half, right? The first half, I thought we created quite a lot. The second half, we were fucking clueless. We lost. We didn't know what we were doing at some point. So we
We're
Same
looking at
against
these
Aston
games,
Villa
we're
once
looking
they
at
scored their
Palmer.
goal. Same against who was it? Nottingham Forest. As soon as these teams score a goal, it's like we're just dead, and that's another component of the game. Obviously, we want to fix the first part, which is scoring when we're on top in these early moments, but you also need to be able to react to winning games. And other than Burnley, who prefer our dog shit and gave it away by scoring an own goal themselves, we don't come back well in games at all.
Our bench was shocking. We brought on fucking Washington, who's never played a game because we have no striker on the pitch and played him up front. He should have took Jackson off for him, in my opinion. That's what I would have done. There's no fucking point leaving him on the pitch. It was useless yesterday. But that's
I
how
mean,
bad.
then there's the injuries point as well, which I don't want to make that excuse, but it's like it's not even an excuse at this point. It's like, how is this club not rectified the fact that we constantly get injury crisis? Like it's not even a crisis; it's just a normal state that we're in where we have bare man out, and that's just not right. Like the club has got to address these things, and it's criminal, man.
So Kenneth says, let's see what hasn't progressed. Let's see what hasn't progressed in the team, Lewis. Only thing that hasn't progressed is the finishing. If the goals went in, it's a different scenario.
What is this opium, man? Get in the bin.
I mean, we've been saying that for quite a long time, Mike Ken. It's not even
maybe this guy could coach some fucking attacking patterns, and maybe we'd have more chances, and maybe we'd score some more goals. Maybe play players in the actual position. Maybe don't play to protect the points in the first 5 games of the season against winnable opposition, and we wouldn't be this stressed.
Yeah, I'm pissed off.
Maybe learn how to play against a low block.
No, mate. No. Learn how to play against a low block at home.
Fucking copium for this manager just because we feel like we have to give somebody time. No, earn it. What have you done to earn time?
They haven't, have they? And this is it.
Nothing.
I mean, I am stressed. I was really pissed off yesterday, I'm not going to lie. That's why I was going to do a show, and I thought, no, didn't even want to do one today. I was just because.
No, Jeff, you know, it's for me. It's got to the point where I've seen it. As fucked as it is, I'm just not surprised. So I'm not feeling that anger. I'm just like, again,
I've got fucking rivals messaging me saying how shit we are, and we spent 100 billion.
Of course, I'm pissed. I'm disappointed, yeah. But what I'm saying is, it's the same shit. There's only so much anger I can have, bro. It's the same fuckeries. It's the same shit. Like, what are these lot doing in training in front of goals? Seriously, how many times are you gonna keep fucking showing us these videos? Yeah, you lot have rebranded now. You're playing some cultured music and that, yeah, and you can't fucking bury the ball. Professional footballers at this level can't bury the ball. Like even yesterday, yeah, Palmer had a chance in the box. It went past him. Went past Washington. You know what I mean? Thiago Silva, he flicked it on as well from a corner. No one is in the danger zone.
I know.
Come on, bruv. What is going on, man? These don't need to fix up. Seriously. As much as Poch is to blame as well, these players need to fucking fix up because it's a fucking joke. It's a joke, Jem.
Well, our next game is against Blackburn on Wednesday. One that I will not be going to or probably watching because I am not interested. We should be winning that anyway. But
Nice dumbass will be
We
there.
need to win a trophy again. That when the question was asked about how does
Yeah,
Poch needs
please.
to earn. He
We
needs to
have
earn our
to.
time here. You have
Please.
to earn the time. You got to win the trophy. Something
Gotta
like that. You got to
win
win a
it.
trophy this season.
I'll watch it. Obviously, I'll watch every fucking game.
We
but
have
I
to
don't- I
win
don't
that
watch it
game.
with any fun. I don't like watching us anymore. I've just not liked it for a while, a very long time. It's just shit. You know, the Arsenal game got me fucking so happy when we were 2-0. Yeah, it was lucky with some of the goals, but we played really well. And I was
Sanchez,
like,
man.
shit.
That's probably that could be a turning
We
point for the season.
outplayed
To be
them.
honest.
And then, ever since Sanchez decided to do what he did, ever since that moment to fucking now, we're back to our old ways again. Fucking 3
That
steps
shit
forward,
sent us
10
back.
step backwards. 10 step backwards from then to this to yesterday's game.
Wait, so
It's been
Tottenham's
the
our
same
next league game, right?
Yep.
And they've got a free week because they're not in the cup. So and we got to play them Monday night.
We got Tottenham on
Techie,
Monday.
man.
It's out to you,
Techie,
guys.
man.
We
Techie.
got next
I'm not
week-
even scared of them like that. Like Angeball is good in it. Like they're playing great football, but that's not like they're
Good.
miles clear of us. It'll be a competitive game. It's just, is Sterling going to take the chance when it comes his way? Is Jackson going to be in the right position?
We're going
Bro,
to
if
play
they
exactly
score,
like we did
bro.
against Arsenal. We're going to play 2 10s. We're not going to play striker, and we're going to try and do exactly what we did against the Arsenal. Same system, same setup. Block Madison from getting the ball. Stop Son from receiving the ball in, and we're just going to then play like that and play on the break. That's all we're going to do.
I mean, it might work well, but are we going to get a VAR penalty? Are we going to put a cross in the top corner?
The
Probably
problem
not,
is
so-
if they score. If they score 1 or 2 goals, you know,
Mate, we're talking about
not
Tottenham.
sure if we could
Fuck's
even
sake.
score.
This is Tottenham we're talking about here.
Like we're not
This is
sure if we
what's
can
annoying
score,
me.
bro.
All right, Lewis, I need a ticket for that game as well, bro. I need a fucking ticket for that game.
Yeah, I ain't got
anyhow,
it.
we,
I got it.
anyhow,
It won't
we
be hard to find. I'm sure of that.
it won't be hard.
Find a Blackburn ticket.
No, Spurs, bro.
Oh, actually, you know what? With the results having come on, I might be able to find you one.
Yeah, I need it. Please, I need it. Listen, if
If
we
you do
beat
find
them,
one for me as well, get me one because I want one as well. I'll fucking
yeah, Jim, we've
I'll
got
let
to
you
go, man.
guys know. Won't be easy, but I'll try.
Monday, the 6th of November
Mhm.
is Tottenham at home at 8 p.m. Monday Night Football. And then after that, on the same week, Sunday, we have Man City at home, 4:30 kickoff. And then we go
Lord of
into
mercy.
we go into a 2-week break, and then we come back on the 25th of November for Newcastle away, Brighton at home, Man United away, and then the beginning, obviously, of December, which is Everton away.
We
And then
need
we go
that
into
to
that period.
break. We
So-
got a break.
Oh, yeah.
Positive, guys. We can do this with Chelsea.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Poch
on that
can't
note-
make the same mistake no more, man. That he's made that same mistake 3 or 4 times. That's
yeah, but
it.
they're going to be so up for
I'm
trying
done
to
with
beat Poch there as well. They are all them Tottenham fans as well.
Hey,
I
just
know.
leave him there.
Oh,
Leave him there after the game. Just leave him.
He's going to get cooked by fucking an Australian manager that's not even been
no,
in his
Pod
Premier
can't
League.
afford to lose that game for his sake. But we can't afford to lose that game. Man. Can't not
Well,
afford
don't
to
be
lose
shocked
that
if we do. That's all I'm going to say because the way we're going
Oh,
at the moment, it looks like we're
game.
going
Bro, I
backwards.
want to be shocked.
So we'll see. But guys, I'm going to dip 2 hours. I've had enough talking Chelsea. Let's have a break for a bit. Return
Yes,
back.
sir.
Hopefully, bit of positives. I want to say thank you to Forward,
Big up the
Louis,
man them.
everyone in the
Big
building,
up, man.
Don, also AJ as well. Big up, guys. Unfortunately, we go into this Tottenham game. It would have been if we'd have won that game, we would have been 8th today.
We'd be
We'd have been
feeling
8th.
good right now. We'd be
We'd
feeling
good
good.
going into that
The
Tottenham
man said he
game.
would have been 8th and we'd be feeling good. I don't feel good about 8th, I'll be real. I'll
We'd
be
be
real.
moving up the table, man.
Instead, we can find ourselves.
We haven't
14th.
seen 8th since when? Like Potter.
We can
Yeah,
find
Yeah,
ourselves.
no,
14th
it would be
soon.
progress, but it's mad where we are right now, though. Mad.
Sick,
Mad.
bro. It's sickening.
Anyway, guys, big up. I'll see you all in a bit. Peace.
Yo, big up.
Love.
Up the. Should we say up the Chelsea? Up the Chelsea. We always say up the Chelsea.